Good morning, everyone. It is 8:30. Let's go ahead and get started here this morning. I think we've got everybody rallied up in place and ready to go. The IT guys running around frantically, so that's a good sign. All right, good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'd like to call to order the meeting for the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners for this day, Saturday, January 25th, 2025. And if we could do a Pledge of Allegiance, and if I could have Commissioner Bourne lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for that. And if I could have the department do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Chair Shane Rogers.
Yes, here.
Vice Chair Young.
Here.
Commissioner Barnes.
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here.
Commissioner Bourne.
Here.
Commissioner Caviglia.
Here.
Commissioner Keel. Commissioner McNinch. Commissioner Walther.
All right, thank you for that. And if I could have any county advisory board members in attendance today stand and be recognized. And if I could maybe have you come on down to the mic just to make sure everybody hears you. And sorry about that.
Neil Cheney, Lincoln County.
Tim Wilson, Carson City Cab.
Worth Nelson, Lander.
Glenn Bunch, Mineral, and I signed a yellow card.
Paul Howell, Douglas Cab.
Joe Krim, Pershing.
Kobe Rowe, Washoe.
All right, thank you. Nobody else here in Reno? All right, and how about any community advisory boards via Zoom?
Paul Dixon, Clark.
All right, that is it. So thank you for that. We will go to agenda item number 15. This is public comment period. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Persons making comment are asked to begin by stating their name for the record. So with that, is there any public comment here in Reno?
Mike Reese for Southern Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. I got two items. I know yesterday we were pressed for time, but on our reports, I would like to see the youth, I don't know what you call the fund, but it's the youth fund for youth to get free licenses that people donate money and go into. I just talked to Caleb about that. The draw's coming up pretty quick, and I think if a lot of people knew, is the fund high, is it low? Because I know that my grandsons participated in that, but only because we had an NDOW person come to our group and speak. I didn't even know that fund existed. So I think there's a lot more people out there that don't know about it. It's catching on, but I think if that's part of our reports that we give, I think it would be great. Number two, I hope you guys took into grasp what Senator Ira Hansen said yesterday. We'll take care of the legislature. So I hope you guys can breathe easier knowing what you guys are doing is the right thing. The legislature is set up for social issues where you guys are the scientists. You guys are the scientific. And I hope that we do stick to that, and you guys have done a great job at it. So thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment here in Reno?
Yes, my name's Alan Moss. I'm from Reno here. I understand yesterday that you decided on regulations on the shooting of coyotes, or going to. I'm, at one time, was a trapper here in Nevada. The problem I see is that, as I went hunting this year, is that out at Limbo, somebody was out there shooting coyotes all right. They lined them up alongside the road. And the sad thing about it is they were prime heights. Now, if I was a trapper, I'd turn around and sue the Fish and Game for this happening for the simple reason I spend money for tags, traps, and it doesn't count what I lose if somebody steals it. And it's really sad to see prime hides out there like that. I know if these California people that come in and want open land for hunting and shooting is let them go out and hunt the rattlesnakes or something. The reason I quit trapping was that, number one, I have poor hearing when I'm out hunting now, and I can't hear the rattlesnakes. And coyotes will kill rattlesnakes. And that's just a simple fact. Coyotes kill a lot of chipmunks and everything else that carry diseases, bubonic plague and that. And when you eliminate the one species of the animal out of the chain, you have a problem. Of course, we can always poison everything, but that doesn't work either. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any other public comment here in Reno? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Jana Wright, Clark County, speaking on agenda item 20I, the mountain lion season. I was reading the department activity report under the law enforcement portion, and it was noted that 8 mountain lions and 1 mule deer were removed from foothold traps. Thinking back to yesterday's discussion on the petition, perhaps a commissioner might inquire more information on these incidents, such as where they occurred, and did trappers self-report, or did game wardens or others find these animals? I do not understand why the department does not provide more information on where and when lions are killed during the past year. The last time I inquired from then Staff Specialist Pat Jackson, there were significantly larger numbers of lion taken in the northeast portion of the state. Please ask for more data on lions. Educate us all, as the interest is there from many different perspectives on the management of our mountain lions. Thank you for hearing my comments, Mr. Chair. That's it.
All right. So that concludes our public comment period. So we will move on to agenda item number 16. This is approval of the agenda. For possible action, the commission will review the agenda and may take action to approve the agenda for January 25, 2025. The commission may remove items from the agenda, continue items for consideration, or take items out of order. Anything from the commission regarding today's agenda? Questions, comments, concerns, anything? All right. Seeing none, I will take this out to public comment. Any public comment on today's agenda here in Reno? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment on today's agenda via Zoom? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any other discussion or a motion. Yes, Vice Chair Young.
Thank you, Chair. I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 16, approval of agenda
All right.
as is.
Outstanding, perfect. So we've got a motion for approval of today's agenda as is from Vice Chair Young, a second from Commissioner Cavilla. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Approved today's agenda. Moving on to now agenda item number 17. This is member item announcements, correspondence, informational. Commissioners may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. The commission will review and may discuss correspondence sent or received by the commission since the last regular meeting and may provide copies for the exhibit file. Commissioners may provide hard copies of their correspondence for the written record. Correspondence sent or received by Secretary Janae may also be discussed. So, Director Janae, any?
I have not received any further correspondence since yesterday.
Okay. And same here. I have not any commissioners' items for announcements. All right. Seeing none, we will move on. All right. So we will close out agenda item 17, move on to agenda item 18. This is County Advisory Boards to Manage Wildlife Informational county advisory boards to manage wildlife member items. This is informational. CAB members may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action will be scheduled on a future commission agenda. So with that, any cabs here in attendance in Reno with any items? All right, going once, twice. All right, nobody here in Reno. How about via Zoom?
Commissioners and Chairman Shane, Paul Dixon, Clark Cab. I have two items this morning. One is that yesterday there was a public comment about the usefulness of cabs. And I would like to point out that Clark County Cab represents roughly 70% of the population in the state of Nevada, which we always hear when people talk about the majority of people hate things or do things. We represent a lot of people. Of the last 145 meetings since I've been chair of the Clark Cab has attended 142 of those meetings. So I think we have very good attendance from Clark Cab. And I wanted just to make sure that it's clear that we do our best to represent a broad, diverse community of people in Southern Nevada. The second thing is you're likely to hear, because I heard from a former city councilman and former state assembly person, when I have brought up to the Clark Cab the feral cat issue in Southern Nevada. Now realize that feral cats should be a county, and how does that tie to the Department of Wildlife? Well, the thing is that if you do any sort of research, feral cats kill billions of birds and other Nevada wildlife over the years. And I would really like to find out whether or not feral cat colonies are impacting native Nevada species in Southern Nevada, and that will require some scientific studies. I've assigned one of my board members to work with Keith Williams, who's the TNR lead for Southern Nevada, to come up with some ideas for studies, and maybe we'll look at trying to go for some of the funding that will be with the new predatory non-lethal, or go to Heritage, one of the two. I'd like to also point out that the second reason that I brought this up is that TNR funding over the last 5 years in Southern Nevada has been decreasing. And what that means is that the feral cat population is going to basically continue to explode. It's over a 250,000 cats right now in just Clark County, which is a lot of cats. And their impact has to be something on Nevada's wildlife. And I would like us to have scientific data to go back to the county commissions in the state and make more reasonable decisions of how we manage these feral cat colonies so they're less impacted to Nevada's wildlife. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dixon. No additional? All right, so no additional CAB member items. So with that, we will close agenda item 18 and move on to agenda item 19. This is Commission General Regulation 524 for possible action. Bonus points associated with junior hunt applications. Workshop public comment allowed. Data and Technology Services Division Administrator Matt Maples. The commission will hold a workshop to consider a temporary regulation amending Nevada Administrative Code NAC 502 that would simplify the issuance, use, and administrative management of bonus points associated with junior hunt applications. Good morning, Mr. Maples.
Good morning, Chair Rogers, members of the commission. Here today to present proposed regulations on junior bonus points. I've got a short PowerPoint presentation, and then we can discuss the proposed language after that. So just a brief background on why we're bringing this to you. Currently, we distinguish between junior bonus points and general bonus points, general meaning any other non-junior hunt. Currently, the department offers junior mule deer and junior wild turkey hunts. The current regulation states a person may not use bonus points awarded as part of a junior hunt application for any other type of hunt after that person becomes ineligible for a junior hunt. Later on in the regulations, it also creates an exception to this statement for junior mule deer and junior turkey, and then requires the department to transfer junior bonus points to general bonus points as that client becomes ineligible. And so currently, if a youth obtains bonus points during a wild turkey or mule deer hunt application specific to the junior hunt. If they still have bonus points when they become ineligible and move into the general draw, we are instructed in NAC to transfer those points into their general points so that they can use them in an adult or a general draw. The challenges with this is it requires an annual conversion of bonus points. It creates additional verification requirements before we transfer those bonus points so that we can verify that they meet the 2-year rule. So if they miss 2 consecutive years of applications, we wipe those bonus points. We have to verify that they have 2 consecutive years of applications, and then we also have to confirm that they should not have lost one category of bonus points or the other for a tag award, and that potentially occurs if a youth is switching between youth turkey and general turkey or youth mule deer and general mule deer, which does occur. This complicates the use and retention of bonus points for the proposed antelope horn shorter than ears youth hunt that we have and will bring to you later today for the 2025-2026 season. The benefits of this proposed regulation, so bonus points would essentially become age agnostic, ensures bonus points for a species, subspecies, and gender category is the same regardless of the customer age or whether they obtain those points in a youth versus a general draw. This would eliminate the need for the department to transfer those bonus points from the youth category to the general category. So we have some time and cost savings there, reduced requirements on the agency as well as the vendor to transfer those bonus points and also complete the necessary verification steps. And additionally, it would also simplify the current regulations. Right now we have exceptions built in that basically say they can transfer junior deer and junior turkey into the general category, and so this would greatly simplify existing regulations. Other anticipated benefits is it'll provide clarity for the junior pronghorn hunt if that's approved later today. It would eliminate the need to track and create an additional bonus point category for horns shorter than ears junior. It ensures existing junior hunters with general horns shorter than ears points could use those points in the proposed youth hunt. The current regulations are silent on this, and so this regulation would provide more clear instruction to the department on how to handle that situation. It would eliminate the need for, or a future need to create an additional exception allowing transfer of junior horn shorter than ears points to general horn shorter than ears points, and would also prevent future points from becoming stranded in a junior or a general category in the event that such an exception was not created and then a youth obtained points in the junior horn shorter than ears, did not draw a tag, and then there was no exception to transfer those to the general category. And so youth could potentially use bonus points that they had earned. It gets a little complicated, as you can see. I hope I'm making sense here. Really, the regulation, I think, will solve a lot of these challenges and will provide a lot of simplification in bonus points. So this would ensure general and junior points are not lost due to ineligibility on age, only for the 2-year rule if they fail to apply for 2 consecutive years or if they are awarded a tag, which is in current NAC and would not change. So the next steps would review, modify as needed, and then hopefully prepare for adoption at the March 2025 Commission meeting. If adopted, we can make these changes in time for the 2025 main draw, and the department and our vendor, Gordon Darby, would complete a one-time action to reclassify and transfer junior points to general points, and then this would only affect mule deer, wild turkey, and horns shorter than ears pronghorn junior, since those are the only existing or proposed junior hunts. And with that, I'll take any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Maples, appreciate that. And again, for explaining that, I know it can get a little complicated on some of those things, but I appreciate your explanation. How about the commission? Any questions with regards to Mr. Maples' presentation this morning around these bonus points? No? Boy, we're quiet this morning. All right, easy enough. This is for possible action. So Yeah, so let me go ahead and take out, and see if there's any public comment on this particular item here in Reno. Any public comment here in Reno regarding agenda item number 19 on the...
Mike Reese for Southern Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. I'm under the impression as we do our software, the only thing that's changing is going from youth to adult. In other words, what they're saying is, whatever points you have as a youth, there shouldn't be any reclassifying. All you're changing on that file is youth to adult. Shouldn't be that complicated. You could take that exact same file, unless I don't understand the software, you should be able to take that same file, and the only thing you're changing is that person's now an adult because they're of age. Maybe it's more complicated than that, but I'm going, you should still be doing the same things. Have they applied to every 2 years? So they can keep those points. If they haven't, regardless of whether they're youth or an adult, you lose them. So when it comes time for that draw, all of that stuff has been done on the paperwork. It's just youth, adult, unless I don't understand it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment here in Reno? And Mr. Maples, if you don't mind, do you mind speaking to that question and comment that was just brought up before we go to Zoom?
Yeah, I'll make an attempt, and please let me know if I'm misunderstanding. Essentially, this would just remove the junior point category from the system. We do a one-time transfer, and then no additional junior bonus points would be issued. They would just be issued a general bonus point. And so bonus points, as I stated, would be age agnostic. They're agnostic to a youth versus a general hunt, and those bonus points could be used in any draw that customer qualifies for. That's it. Okay.
All right. Yes, Director Janae.
My mic was easier yesterday. I will say, just to add on to that, is this now will just be regulated by, are you eligible? Do you meet the eligibility of the hunt? And so to be a junior, you got to be between 12 and 17. So it's the eligibility of the hunt. The points don't have anything to do with being junior, being adult. It's just the eligibility of the hunt that you're applying for. So it'll follow you through time, through the system. It becomes the simplest mechanism so that it doesn't have to be something that we have to intentionally carry forward. Hopefully that added some clarity. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Thank you for that. How about any public comment via Zoom? No. All right, perfect. Bringing it back to the commission. One question that I had, Mr. Maples, is under the current system, if a junior did have a bonus point, you know, their last year of eligibility for a junior, and now we're going into the general, how did that point convert over? Did that something that happened automatically, or did the junior lose that bonus point?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Chair Rogers. So within the current NAC, the department was instructed to transfer that junior point to a mule deer antlered bonus point that would then be used in that individual's draw for a general antlered mule deer. And so it didn't occur automatically. We performed that transfer. Gordon Darby performed the transfer. But does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just curious. So, all right, perfect. Any thoughts from the commission? You know, from my perspective, I think that everything I've seen on this, you know, is just kind of a cleanup, a little simplification maybe, that it makes these bonus points agnostic, and so anyway, kind of a cleanup. So, I mean, I'm supportive of this, but anyway, if anybody's got any other thoughts or opinions or motion, or I'll take all comers. Yes, Commissioner Caviglia.
I'll get everybody moving this morning. No, I like it too. It simplifies the process. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to forward Commission General Regulation 524, bonus points associated with junior hunt applications, to a second reading at the next commission meeting, as presented.
All right, perfect. All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Cavilla, a second from Commissioner Bourne. All those in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? All right, that motion passes. So thank you again for that. All right, moving on to, yes, Director Janay.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Rogers. I would ask that we could briefly step back and rehear agenda item number 16, the approval of agenda. There was an item that we were hoping to shift the order of just to simplify the process this afternoon. So if we could step back and reopen agenda item 16, department would greatly appreciate that.
You got it. So yes, so let's go ahead and if we could step back for just a second and reopen agenda item number 16, and this is the approval of today's agenda. So with that.
And with that, the department would ask that we could move item 20J in front of item 20I. And that'll be apparent in that the system we're using, we'll have it all up at the same time, and it'll just be more continuity and be a simpler process for the department dealing with those.
Okay, perfect. That's the only change. The suggested change is, again, 20J moving before 20I.
That's the only change we have.
All right, perfect.
you.
I don't necessarily have any issue with that. Anybody on the commission with that? All right, we'll take it maybe back out to public comment. Anybody here in Reno with a issue or concern with that change? Seeing none. Anything on Zoom? All right. Do we need to make a, yep, how about a motion for approval with the one noted change? Anybody? Yeah, Commissioner Cavilla.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for Saturday, 25th, as presented with the noted change to the order of items number. We're going to take item 20J before item 20I.
All right, perfect. So we've got a motion from Commissioner Cavilla, a second from Vice Chair Young on that noted change. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion passes, so we will make that one a change. All right, well, thank you for that. So moving forward, we are now on agenda item 20, and this is Commission Regulation Public Comment Allowed for Possible Action. This is 20A. Commission Regulation 25-01, 2025 application deadlines, draw results, and 2026 spring turkey. Data and Technology Service Division Administrator Matt Maples, the Commission will consider adopting regulation to set the 2025 Big Game Tag application deadline and related information. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers and members of the commission. Matt Maples, DATS Division Administrator for the record. This regulation is to establish the 2025 upland waterfowl big game and 2026 spring turkey application and harvest questionnaire tag return deadlines. The department recommends no changes in format from the previous year in relation to all application periods and draws, bonus point periods, harvest questionnaires, and tag return grace period. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for that. I'll bring it here to the commission. Any questions for Mr. Maples regarding 20A? And again, that notion of no changes on any of those. All right, again, any questions, concerns on that for Mr. Maples? All right, seeing none at this time, let's take it out for any public comment. Any public comment on agenda item 20A? Public comment here in Reno? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion. Questions, concerns, motion, anything? I'll take all.
There's no more
Yeah, Vice Chair Young.
discussion. I'll make a motion. So I make a motion to approve agenda item 20A, Commission Regulation 25-01 for the 2025 application deadlines, draw results, and 2026 spring turkey. That's my motion, to
Outstanding.
approve as is.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. So we've got a motion. All right, we've got a motion by Vice Chair Young. We've got a second from Commissioner Keel for approval as presented. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you for that. We will move on to Agenda Item 20B. This is Commission Regulation 25-02. This is a 2025 game tag application eligibility and tag limits. Data and Technology Service Division Administrator Matt Maples. The Commission will consider adopting regulation to set the 2025 game tag application eligibility and tag limits and related information. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the commission. Matt Maples, DATS Division Administrator, for the record. This regulation is to establish 2025 game tag application eligibility and tag limits. The department recommends dropping the word "big" from the game tag terminology in the regulation, as the removal of this term would extend the regulation to species that need a tag but are not considered big game, such as wild turkey. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Commissioner Keel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Rogers. Is there a reason that we're not striking the word game as well?
I believe that since wild turkey would be considered a game animal, we left that in.
Yes, Director Janae.
And I see, I can't verify that, I just want to confirm with Administrator Maples on the third heading, it says big game second draw eligibility. Does that also need to be struck there to be game second draw eligibility? Do you see where I'm looking? It's the heading.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I don't believe we conduct a second draw for a wild turkey.
Yeah, I'm just.
And so I think that's why.
In the continuity of language, I'm like.
Yeah, we could strike that for sure, just for continuity, in the event that we did have a second draw for turkey.
Yeah.
So that noted change as well in that section where we have big game second draw eligibility. You're recommending striking the word "big" from that as well?
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. And there is, it is in the heading for big game second draw eligibility. It is also in the text, third line down during the big game second draw application period. So I would recommend it be struck there as well. Yep.
All right, perfect. And I apologize, Commissioner Keel, did you have your additional questions or your original question answered?
I think so, but I mean, to me, it's just clearer if you strike big and game. I mean, at that point, it's a second draw eligibility, or it's tag limits, or it's tag application eligibility in those headings. It's just clearly describing what the process is with no relation to big or small game. And also on that, the second draw eligibility, there is a big game on the second line as well. So depending on what we do there, we either strike big or game in general. But to me, it's just cleaner to simply state what the action or process is without referring to big or game.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's a reason why we would state game versus big game, small game.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I
Mr.
see
Maples or Director Janae, any thoughts on that vernacular, on any
Yeah.
pros or cons to keep it or omit it?
I see no issue with striking the words big and game.
Okay.
And we can make those changes throughout.
Yes, Vice Chair Young.
Thank you. And on the last page, on the first come, first served eligibility, There's also big game tag, not sure if we're, your recommendation on that, remove big game or not, or remove big or not.
Yes, I believe that'd be kind of similar to the situation with the second draw for turkey. Highly unlikely that we would have a first come, first serve for turkey, but certainly if we'd wish to strike that, I don't see any issues with that.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion or questions at this time? All right, seeing none, let's take this out to public comment here in Reno. Any public comment here in Reno on agenda item 20B? All right, seeing none here in Reno, how about via Zoom? Any public comment via Zoom? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion, questions, motion. Yes, Commissioner Keel.
Okay, so I guess since I brought it up, I'll move to approve Commission General Regulation 2502 as presented, with the exception we would strike all big and game notations throughout the document.
All right, perfect. So we have a motion from Commissioner Keel and a second from Commissioner Caviglia with those noted changes. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, moving on to agenda item, this is 20C, Commission Regulation 25-03. This is 2025 Dream Tag Seasons and Quotas. Data and Technology Service Division Administrator Matt Maples. The Commission will consider adopting a regulation to set the 2025 Dream Tag Species Season and Quota. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the Commission. Matt Maples, DATS Division Administrator for the record. This regulation is to establish the 2025 seasons and quotas for big game dream tags. Dream tag quotas are defined by NRS 502.219, allowing one dream tag for each species of big game for which 50 or more tags were available under the quota established for the species by the Commission during the previous year. The department recommends no changes to the previous year's dream tag species, seasons, or quotas, allowing one tag each for Nelson Desert Bighorn sheep, mule deer, antelope, and elk. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, yes, Vice Chair Young.
Thank you, Chair. I think we're going to have to strike Unit 252, and it's on not only this one, but because 252 is not open. And that's my only comment.
So I apologize, Vice Chair Young. So
And on the second page, fourth paragraph, portions of hunt units 252, 280, 281, 282, 252, the stone walls is not open. So I think that has to be struck throughout the document. I want to say there's 4 of them.
okay.
Question back, Vice Chair Young. On the first page, under Nelson Desert Bighorn sheep, the unit group stipulation states any hunt where there is an open season for Nelson Desert Bighorn sheep. Would that take care of the question regarding 252 since there's not an open season?
Yeah, I'll defer to the department if that's easier. I was just trying to clean it up. And in the past, historically, I think we took 282 out and we put it back in because it was closed, now it's open, so. But whatever the department wants to do.
I would just, on these specialty hunts, I would, for absolute perfect clarity, strike it. No question, just pull it out. It's real easy, just yank it out of there.
Okay. Anything else from comments from the commission on that? All right, Director Janae, any comment on that or? Yep. All right, easy enough. With that, let's take this out for any public comment as well for agenda item 20C. Any public comment here in Reno? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment on Zoom? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion or a motion on 20C. Yes, Vice Chair Young.
All right. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve Agenda Item 20C, Commission Regulation 25-03, 2025 Dream Tags, Seasons and Quotas, with the amendment striking Unit 252 out of the, it looks like, 6th paragraph. There's 4 of them. Strike that out. And that's my motion.
All right, perfect. So we've got a motion from Vice Chair Young. And we've got a second then from Commissioner Keel on the noted change. All those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, moving on to, this is Agenda Item 20D. This is Commission Regulation 25-04, 2026 Heritage Tag Seasons and Quotas. Data and Technology Services Division Administrator Matt Maples. The Commission will consider adopting a regulation to set the 2026 Heritage Tag species, seasons, and quotas. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the Commission. Matt Maples, DATS Division Administrator for the record. This regulation is to establish the 2026 seasons and quotas for heritage auction tags. The department must mail, email, and post heritage tag vendor proposal packets by March 1st of 2025. The Heritage Committee will review vendor proposal packets during their May meeting and provide recommendations to the county advisory boards and the Commission for review and adoption at the June meeting. Combined heritage and Silver State tag quotas may not exceed 15 big game tags and 5 wild turkey tags per NRS 502.250. The department recommends no changes to the previous year's heritage tag species or quotas, allowing 2 mule deer tags, 2 pronghorn antelope tags, 2 elk tags, 2 Nelson Desert Bighorn sheep tags, and 5 wild turkey tags. The department recommends no changes to the previous year's heritage tag seasons, although I will note, given what we did with dream tags, it is prudent to strike Unit 252 from the second page.
Okay. So noted. Thank you for that. Anything else, Mr. Maples?
Nope.
All right, I will bring it to the commission. Any, excuse me, any questions, discussion, comments as it relates to 20D from the commission? All right. Seems pretty straightforward on that one. I will then, if no more discussion, I'll take it out for any public comment here in Reno on Agenda Item 20D. All right, seeing no public comment here in Reno, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right, no public comment via Zoom, so I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion or motion or... Yep, Commissioner Caviglia.
Okay, I'm going to make the motion to approve Commission Regulation 2504, 2026 Heritage Tax Seasons and Quotas as presented with the noted change, removing Unit 252 from the notes at the end of the regulation.
All right, perfect. Wonderful. So we've got a motion from Commissioner Caviglia. We got a second from Commissioner Barnes on approval with the one noted change. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, moving on to agenda item, this is 20E. This is Commission Regulation 25-05, 2025 Partnership and Wildlife Tag Seasons and Quotas. Data and Technology Services Division Administrator Matt Maples. The commission will consider adopting a regulation to set the 2025 Partnership and Wildlife Tags, Hunt Species, Seasons and Quotas. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the Commission. Matt Maples, DATS Division Administrator for the record. This regulation is to establish the 2025 seasons and quotas for partnership and wildlife big game tags. Partnership and wildlife tag quotas may not exceed 22 resident and 3 non-resident mule deer tags, 5 resident pronghorn antelope tags, 3 resident elk tags, 1 mountain goat tag, and 4 resident bighorn sheep tags per NAC 502.428. The department recommends no change to the previous year's partnership and wildlife tag species, seasons, or quotas, allowing the maximum tags for mule deer, pronghorn antelope, and elk, and 1 tag for Nelson Desert Bighorn sheep, and 0 tags for mountain goat, and similar to what was done with Dream and Heritage Tag, also be prudent here to strike Unit 252 from the second page.
All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Maples. I'll bring it to the commission for any discussion, questions, concerns, as again, it relates to 20E on the partnership and wildlife tags. Yes, Commissioner Cavilla.
Thank you, Chair. So Matt, just on the deer tags, I think it was one of the cabs brought it up. The 22 that we allow, that is the max we're allowed per, is that NRS or NAC? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the max per NAC.
And we've just set it at that just because we can, basically. Is that they asked the justification, I don't remember which one it was. They asked for why we set it so high, why we don't cut it. I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah.
Just because we can, basically, is that, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner Cavilla. I'll probably ask either Game Division Administrator Sean Espinoza or Wildlife Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder to talk more specifically on the quota recommendations for PIW.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Just getting you ready for quotas coming up, Cody.
Absolutely. For the record,
Little appetizer.
Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder. So the PIW tags have been on autopilot as long as I've been in the position, which is over 10 years. We've not changed them at all. I think they were set at max. I'm not sure where the original max came from. So, but if there are any specific questions on the reason why, you know, we should keep it the same or reduce it, I could answer those more specifically. I wasn't aware of the rationale of why we'd want to change it.
Why they were
Why there was
recommending?
one recommendation, I believe. There might be another one too from Joe, but.
Yeah, Vice Chair Young.
I think I might know the rationale. I believe it was White Pine. It might have been Lincoln. They're saying that majority of them, which is not surprising probably to you, are ending up in certain units in the kind of White Pine, Lincoln County area. So you have, let's say, 44 resident tags and 24, but then you have 22. That's my understanding for the rationale, kind of congestion, and you're adding 10 tags to 45 tags. I could be wrong, but that was my understanding.
Yeah, so I've got a few just statistics. It varies. Last year, there were 16 harvested. 7 of the PIW tags did not harvest. 1 did not hunt at all. 1 didn't report, as when I checked. 2 of those were in 194, 196, 2 were in 241, 2 were in 065, 2 were in 081, 2 were in 231, and then the rest were spread throughout the state. So the PIW tags typically are spread throughout the state. The year before, 2023, there were 6 PIW harvested in 24 and 6 in 194, 196. So those 2 do seem to be the units, 24 and 194, 196, that get, if there are more in one year, it's those 2 units.
Yeah. I think the other thing, I mean, some stuff that I've heard as well around this has been the optics, right? I mean, not only this notion that Vice Chair Young brought up about concentrated in certain units, but the optics of it, right? The fact that we've cut tags significantly across the board in various areas throughout the state, and, you know, the numbers in general, but yet haven't done anything with the PIW numbers. So I've heard that a number of times as well. So anyway,
I mean, it's a fair point. Like, you know, around 2012, 2013, when I first started, we had over 25,000 deer tags issued in the state, and now we're right around 10,000.
yeah.
So we've cut tags significantly in 10 years, and we have not changed the PIW quota.
Yep. Yep. Easy enough. Anything else? Any other questions? I mean, I don't know what we'll find out here shortly what the temperature of the commission is. I would certainly be supportive in reducing some of those numbers, but anyway, that's my 2 cents. Anything else at this time? If not, we'll see what the public says. So with that, I'll go ahead and take it out for public comment here in Reno.
Joe Krim, Persian Cab. And that was some of the same concerns that we've had. We've been cutting deer tags across the state because our deer populations are bad. And we got 22 tags that are being given out for PIW. Our suggestion was to take it to 2, to line up with like Heritage or some of the other ones, to take it to 2 and then still leave the non-resident at 1. I know it's at 2 right now, but just leave it at 1. You're looking at that, Tommy. You didn't realize that was on there? I mean, we're okay with having the non-resident to have 1, but we'd like to take the residents to 2 just to come into line with the rest. And the mule deer plans and programs that we've been going through have proven that our deer numbers are falling, but these numbers have stayed high. We would just like to see them lowered. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment here in Reno? All right, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission. And any further discussion or comments on that? I mean, I don't know what the number is. I mean, I'd like to see them reduced, quite frankly. I mean, again, I think optically, number one, and number two, based on what we've seen and heard from some of the specific units throughout the state and some concentration, I think that's a real thing, personally. So, yes, Vice Chair Young.
I guess I'll jump in there and kind of echo your sentiment, Chair. I can start with the number 15. 2 to me is too low. That's, and again, I think this is more of a congestion issue than it is a management issue. So I'll throw the number 15 out there and see where it goes.
I'm in. Commissioner Cavilla?
I liked 11, but I could go with 15.
I like 11. I'll be an auctioneer.
And
up
I
here.
don't, I mean, everybody's still going to put in for it, right? It's not going to impact the application, but it will alleviate some of the pressure. And this tag, like, I think when people get it, it's kind of a curse because they get to hunt the whole state. And I think it's a curse of a tag, but it absolutely does on some of the units where we have the low tag numbers. It definitely adds some excess pressure on those hunts. There's no doubt about it. So, but.
All right, Commissioner Barnes.
I think I like 11. I'm a 50% cut kind of guy, so. I just throw that out there.
And is, along those lines then, any discussion on I know it's a nominal number, but any discussion on the non-resident? We have 3 in there. Is everybody comfortable with that on the non-resident? Yep, Commissioner Keel?
Thank you, Chair Rogers. Yeah, I think we should cut the non-resident, in line and being consistent with Commission Policy 24. The same ratio as whatever we do with the resident. Not to backtrack too much, but if we strike 252 from all these, well, it's certainly applicable to the desert hunt, and I get former Chair Caviglia's point, like it really needs to be cleaned on the specialty tags. It would also kind of create a situation where if somebody on these deer tags, it's not spelled out if they go into hunt Stonewall, so I'm not sure. And Cody obviously didn't say anybody was going into hunt Stonewall on the PIW tags, but I almost think that we need to leave 252 in there for the other tags to make it clear that they have to follow the NTTR training to access that portion for the other tags.
Yeah, for the record, Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder. So these are only open for where there's an open season for mule deer. We don't have an open season for mule deer in the NTTR. So you could only hunt in any open area, and we've never really excluded specific units for the PIW or any of the specialty tags for mule deer. And I personally advise that we don't do that. I think, reducing the quota might alleviate some of the pressure concerns, but I don't.
Good point.
Yeah, that 252 was specific for sheep.
Gotcha. Yep.
All right, any additional discussion with regards to Commissioner Keel's notion of maybe a commensurate reduction on the non-resident mule deer tags as well?
No, I would agree with that too, the kind of the 90-10 split. I mean, I would go, if we're gonna go 50% on the residents, really, the non-resident goes down to 1.
Okay. Yeah, I would be supportive of that. Any discussion or concerns on that? All right. Any, and everybody's okay, any other discussion on any of the others, whether it's elk or desert bighorn or antelope, those all, I think, seem pretty good. Okay. Yeah, no, where my head's at, again, I think that makes sense. I'm glad we had the discussion, and, you know, again, I would be supportive of that note, that cut on the resident to 11 and then non-resident to 1. But anyway, that's where my head's at. If there's any other discussion or motion or...
I'll make a motion.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve Commission Regulation 25-05, 2025 Partnership in Wildlife tag seasons and quotas as presented with the noted changes. So on resident mule deer, the quota will be 11. Non-resident mule deer, the quota 1. And then with the noted change in the bullet point items, the strike unit 252 in the 4 spots.
Okay, perfect. So we have a motion from Commissioner Caviglia and a second from Commissioner Bourne with the noted changes. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, let's see here, where are we at? All right, how about agenda item 20F, and this is Commission Regulation 25-06, 2025 Silver State Tag Seasons and Quotas. Data and Technology Services Division Administrator Matt Maples. The Commission will consider adopting a regulation to set the 2025 Silver State Tag Species, Season, and Quota. Mr. Maples.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers, members of the Commission. Matt Maples, DATS Division Administrator for the record. This regulation is to establish the 2025 seasons and quotas for Silver State big game tags. The combined heritage and Silver State tag quotas may not exceed 15 big game tags and 5 wild turkey tags per NRS 502.250. 5 wild turkey and 8 big game heritage tags were approved for 2025 last year, leaving up to 7 big game tags remaining for the 2025 Silver State program. The department recommends no change to the previous year's Silver State tag species, seasons, or quotas, allowing 1 tag each for Nelson desert bighorn sheep, California bighorn sheep, mule deer, pronghorn antelope, mountain goat, and elk. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for that. And bring it to the Commission. Any questions with regards to the Silver State tags? All right. I guess the only question that I had, I know that we had taken, I believe, out of Heritage, the California bighorn tag. I'm just curious. I mean, it's 1 tag. Just curious if anybody has any concerns or heartburn with a California tag in this particular item. No? All right. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rogers. I was also remiss on page 2, similar to Dream, Heritage, and PIW, we should strike Unit 252. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Good. If no additional discussion here at the Commission level, I will take it out for any public comment here in Reno. Any public comment in Reno, again, on agenda item 20F? All right, seeing none. How about any public comment via Zoom? All right, none via Zoom, so I'll bring it back to the Commission for any additional discussion, questions, or motion. Yes, Commissioner Keel.
Thank you, Chair. With that, I'll move to approve Commission Regulation 25-06, the 2025 Silver State tags as presented with the noted changes to removing Unit 252 from the notes.
All right, thank you. So we've got a motion from Commissioner Keel, a second from Vice Chair Young for approval with the noted changes. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And we are now on to Agenda Item 20G, and this is Commission Regulation 25-07, 2025 to 2026, and 2026-2027 big game seasons. Wildlife Staff Specialists Cody Schroeder, Cody McKee, and Mike Cox. The Commission will consider and may take action to approve the proposed big game seasons for the 2025-2026 and 2026-2027 hunting seasons and dates for mule deer, antelope, elk, moose, bighorn sheep, and mountain goat, including limits, hunting hours, special hunt eligibility, animal sex, physical characteristics, and hunt boundary restrictions. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Rogers, members of the commission. Sean Espinoza, Game Division Administrator for the record. I'm just going to go over a few things and summarize highlights. And then DAT Staff Specialist Megan Manfredi is going to set up our season and tag tracker. So this is a sort of a maiden voyage of this app. And we'll be able to track changes in real time and hopefully eliminate some of the back end work that we do behind the scenes to make sure everything's correct as possible. But some of the recommendations for the 2025-2026 season, some of the highlights for antelope, we made some changes, proposed changes to muzzleloader seasons for hunt units 011, 012 through 014, 015, 031, and 051, changing those from September 24th through October 4th to August 15th through August 21st. And we made the necessary changes to the archery seasons to fit those in. And then also the development of a new resident junior horn shorter than ear pronghorn antelope hunt in 6 different units, which you'll see on the memo, including 043 through 046, Area 6, 067 068, 072, 074, and 075, Area 14 and 15, and then 151, 153, and 156. For desert bighorn sheep, we made some alterations to seasons for select unit groups for consistency purposes, especially for some of the archery hunts. The opening of Hunt Unit 212 once again, season length alteration for Hunt Unit 254, the inclusion of a non-resident ram hunt for 243 and 271 through 242 for a deferred tag, inclusion of archery any ram hunts for 184 and 268, and then an archery any ram hunt for 202. For California bighorn sheep, not a lot of changes. Really, the only change was to 022 to extend that hunt for an additional week to allow for some bighorns to potentially come off of reservation lands and onto public lands. And then changes to the hunt descriptions for some of these unit groups to be more specific to mountain ranges rather than more detailed footnote descriptions. A whole host of changes to elk for the muzzleloader and archery season, both for resident and non-resident. Staff Specialist Cody McKee will detail those. And then for mule deer, not a ton of changes, but we did include 7 different units into the junior mule deer primitive antlered hunt, which will move the needle, we think, with tags quite a bit when we get to the quota setting process. And with that, I will now turn it over to the staff specialist to talk about their species groups.
Good morning, Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder for the record. I'm assuming we want to start at the top with antelope, which would be me. I think Sean highlighted the changes, really just pretty minimal in terms of seasons, changing a few of the muzzleloader seasons for Washoe County, adding one horn shorter than ear unit for 111, 114, and then the junior horn shorter than ears hunts as well. While we're pulling that up, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on any of these changes.
All right, any questions from the commission regarding some of those proposed changes on?
I guess I will say, when we get this up, you will see every unit that we have a hunt for residents, we also show that, yeah, right there as a non-resident hunt, but we don't necessarily have non-resident hunts for every unit. Like, for instance, muzzleloader, antelope, I think we only have 9 non-resident hunts, compared to over 25, I believe, resident hunts. So I would just ask that if we're gonna make any changes to the resident, we could just make a concomitant change to the non-resident. And we can definitely make the notes on our paper copies, but it won't look, there's not a separate, category up there for non-resident hunts. Resident versus non-resident, they all have one row. In the future, I think we'll probably have the quota being whatever it was last year for the residents, and then NA would just imply that there's no hunt available for non-residents, if that makes sense.
Cody, the Humboldt County Cab Committee was concerned about the youth antelope hunt, horns shorter than ears. What's the antelope population? Is it stable to where we can add the youth antelope hunt with horns shorter than ears?
Yeah, that's a good question. So overall, the population has been doing really well across the state. Some are doing better than others. We only added this junior hunt to where the units that had a fairly substantial population to begin with. So we didn't do it across the board. And the idea behind these is basically to mimic the junior hunts. So we're not really proposing adding any additional harvest through these junior hunts. We'll basically take them out of the proportion that we would have for the general horn shorter than ears hunts. So, and we haven't got that far to the quota process yet, I know, but probably take like a percentage, like 25%, allocate those to the juniors. So it's, in essence, they would have their own little slice of the pie to draw some of these tags. They basically have better draw odds to draw a horn shorter than ears tag.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
All right, any questions or discussion from the commission as it relates to antelope? All right, yeah, Commissioner Cavilla.
No, just a comment. I'm glad we are finally adding that the resident, the junior horn shorter than ears. I know that we've had cabs ask for it for quite a while, so, and I'm glad to be able to offer the juniors more opportunities, so that's it.
All right, perfect. All right, if there's no other discussion, Mr. Schroeder, we'll have you continue on.
Okay, so, that's pretty much it. I covered everything. The 041, basically, we're just reducing that split season to 1. Given our quotas are fairly low, we don't have any pressure or congestion concerns. Moving some of those, like I mentioned, muzzleloader seasons earlier in Washoe County, just to provide a slightly different experience for muzzleloader hunters a little earlier in the year. And then, as I mentioned, the 111 horn shorter than ear hunt for the regular. any legal weapon 2181. Those are all the proposed changes, so if you want to make a motion, all fell swoop for all of them, or you can make them individually, however you want to
all
feel,
right.
however you feel.
Yeah, good question. Any thoughts on that, gang? Do we want to take these piece by piece and motion each one of them, or do we want to do them? Yep, all right, good.
And I suppose there is some public comment too.
I'm sorry?
There may be some public comment specific to these as well.
Oh, yeah. All right. If there's no more discussion, yes, let's go ahead and send this out for any public comment.
Are we doing antelope only?
Yeah, at the moment, yep. Yep, so anyway, any public comment here in Reno specific to this item, and again, specific to antelope and the proposed changes?
Mel Belding, member of the public. I too like this idea about the resident junior antelope horn shorter than ears. I know, so I heard 25%, but I'd like to see it a lot more than that when we go to season, or to quotas. I'd like to see that around 75%. If they could explain these season dates, it'd be appreciated. September 8th through September 24th is dead rut. And it's been a policy of this department not to hunt during that time. And we're putting this horn shorter than ears right in there. So if they could explain their logic here, it'd be appreciated. And also, it's time that it changes to a doe, not horn shorter than ears. A lot of us have come to this podium a lot of times and talked about how people will target that young buck in this hunt. And fortunately, we've got an animal that you can identify the sex immediately. They only got that black cheek patch. That's only the buck. And it can be done immediately. And I think it's time that we change to doe only. And explanation on these dates would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment here in Reno specific to antelope? All right, seeing none, maybe how about on Zoom? Any public comment via Zoom? All right, perfect. We'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion or questions. Cody, I might call on you again, just since we just had the one question, if you might opine on the notion of the season dates.
Yeah, for the record, Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder. So the junior, specifically the junior horns shorter than ears, I mean, the idea was just to match them up identically to the regular horn shorter than ears hunt. So that's why they're the same as the adults. They'll be out there at the same time. You know, why they're during the rut, I mean, Mel's not wrong. That is prime rut, but that's the season we've always had for those horn shorter than ears hunts. I mean, we are trying to remove excess animals from the landscape. And these are our bigger units that we're trying to manage to a certain population level, given the carrying capacity. So to be the most effective and not to overlap with some of our other hunts, like our horns longer than ears hunts, that's the time to do it, I guess. We haven't seen any biological effects of hunting that. We also hunt other species during the rut. We hunt elk during the rut. We hunt mule deer during the rut as well. So I don't know why we'd have any, and I don't know of any policy where we won't hunt animals during the rut across big game species. I've never seen that in any of our policies. So I don't know if that addresses the season date question.
Okay. Easy enough, thank you.
Cody, I haven't been able to find it, but the Humboldt cab indicated that there was an overlapping same season for muzzleloader and archery, and I don't see it. Do you see that in any of the dates?
For one
Youth,
that
for
occurs
the
in
youth.
Humboldt County or
Yeah.
for anywhere?
I think it's 035, 032, and 034. But I haven't been able to find that.
Let me look. I mean, we haven't really proposed changing any of those.
Okay.
The archery is August 1 to August 21 for all three, 3-2, 3-3, and 3-5. We are proposing to change the 031 to that early archery, cutting a few days off the archery, and then adding the 031. August 15, August 21. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
see any offhand.
Neither do I, so thank you.
All right. Any other questions or discussion from the commission regarding antelope or a motion? Any thoughts where we want to take this? Yeah, yes, Vice Chair
I
Young.
can make a motion, if there's no more discussion, to approve agenda item 20G, 25-07, 2025 through 2026, and 2026 through 2027 big game seasons, as it applies to antelope only, as is, as presented.
All right, so we have a motion from Vice Chair Young, and we have a second from Commissioner Keel. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Good morning. Mike Cox, Staff Specialist for Bighorn Sheep and Mountain Goats. And Sean provided a bit of background for some of our changes. And I was just going to highlight just a couple. And then I will be open to any other questions you may have. I'm going to jump to nothing really to add to the resident ram hunt. The non-resident, I wanted to point out that the Mormons, 271, 242, the intent is for this season to only accommodate a deferral tag that was in the past. And so that when we come to this quota settings meeting in May, we will ask for a zero quota. So there's no intent for the general public to put in for the Mormons. It's only to accommodate a deferral tag. And we've had that before when we reopened the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Hunt in the Rubies Unit 102. We had a military deferral that was on the books for over a decade. And we didn't want two tags, but we wanted to start season, and it was the same thing we did for that. The archery season, we start the season in the still waters in the East Range, 182.044. A bit earlier, we've had almost no success in the past, and there's no water developments, but we thought we would offer the archery hunters to hunt over natural water with that earlier season and hopefully get some success. And then we did open up the Desitoyas, 184, and also the Muddies. And you can see the Muddies would be the same time frame as the one-horn ram after all the other seasons are over, starting January 5th. We did remove 2 of the unit groups for the one-horn ram that we just, it's in the Pranigates, Mount Irish, Heikos, and the unit group that was the Bears, Specters, and Last Chance. We haven't seen any one-horn ram on survey. We haven't heard of anyone. We haven't had any harvest, and we just felt it was disingenuous to, even though it's not going to affect your bonus points. It's a once-in-a-lifetime separate management hunt that it'd be a nice hike with a rifle over your shoulder, but and so that's really the only additional thoughts I have to help you understand some of those changes, but I'm open for any other questions you may have for sheep or goats.
Say, Mike, did we not have an archery hunt in 268 last year?
Never.
Never have, huh?
We had it in the blacks.
Maybe, okay.
Yeah, in 267.
Yep. All
Yep.
right.
Across the road.
Yep.
Yep.
Relative to the mountain goat hunt, if you move the mountain goat hunt back to the beginning date by 7 days to allow non-interference with the snowcock hunters, would that make any difference?
You know, I don't know if I've never heard, we've got Scott Roberts, of any conflicts between the snowcock hunters and goat hunters. I'll let Scott come up, and it's, they're both very unique, for sure, and they definitely overlap habitat.
Scott Roberts, Eastern Region Game Supervisor, for the record. It's an issue. I don't know if it's worth addressing. Often it's just dependent on where that Labor Day weekend falls. You're going to be really busy with snowcock hunters, and then it's going to wane, significantly after that. But we have a lot of mountain goat hunters that like to target that front end of the hunt, prior to weather, prior to other hunts starting and all the other, human disturbance up in the Rubies. And so while I think there's definitely been instances where there was, some overlap, maybe some congestion, I don't think it's worth constricting the mountain goat hunt.
It's not restricting, it's adding. If you moved it back 7 days, there wouldn't be any, it's such a trophy tag that
You're saying 7 days on the snowcock?
No, on the mountain goat. Moving it back to August 25th to where there's non-interference with the mass hunters.
Making it earlier.
Yes.
I thought you were saying going to September
No.
7th.
No. My suggestion is to move it back 1 week so that those trophy hunters do not have to be interfered with by the large number of snowcock hunters that are up there. A hunter's on a stalk to a goat, and then all of a sudden you see 3 or 4 snowcock hunters coming up the mountain, and the goat is no longer there.
Really, the only issue that I'm seeing is the early season coats on the mountain goats.
There's what's the issue?
The early season coats on the mountain goats, that's a big part of the trophy aspect of mountain goats. And, the growth between even that 7-day period's gonna be noticeable, and it's, the later into September, they're putting on inches.
Okay.
Outside of that, I can't really think of any.
For the record, Caleb McAdoo, in my experience with this, I would say those conflicts are pretty limited. And you do have a constituent of hunters that actually likes to go, mountain goat hunters that actually like to go towards the latter end of September to start getting that hair furred up. I think there will always be some level of conflict, even if you do what you're proposing. I think just the holiday weekend, you know, you might take care of some of the early hunters by doing what you suggest, but I think those conflicts are honestly fairly limited, is my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Caleb.
Yes, Vice Chair Young?
Thank you, Mr. Cox. I've just got one quick question. It won't be the first time this is brought up, but currently we have a serious situation in the Muddies. And what is your opinion on splitting the season for the Muddies?
Well, there's a rich history. In fact, I was talking to Commissioner Cavilia about it this morning. And I talked to Joe Bennett, our regional supervisor, about it. And there really is not any great reason that we don't have it. I do think back in the day, we were probably in the 20-25 quota when the discussion came up to split it. And we hadn't had any complaints from hunters being congested, overlapping, or rams being shot underneath others. But now, well, last year we had 38 resident, non-resident. We probably had a couple of the specialty tags, so we basically had 40 people out there that could start all at the same time. And I did look in thought of maybe that this would come up. So in our management plan, we do state that we don't want to go any shorter than 21 days if we were to have a season for any bighorn sheep, ram. We could accommodate 21 days and not really affect anything on the front end, which we have the U-hunts that are coming in, and they finish on the 15th. And then the one-horn ram starts on January 5th. But yeah, I think the decision to only have a single season was when we were less than 30 tags, and now we've been pretty consistent with that, over 30. We're open to it for sure, and I don't know. Certainly, the quota season setting is in May. There is going to be a lot of things happening out there, as we talked about yesterday. And we really haven't prognosticated if we want to increase tags, and those hunts probably stay the course maybe, but there could be a lot of discussion on that. We do have that archery hunt. And well, that'll be an interesting topic of tag quotas on that, but no major reason to that we haven't split it. But we're open to the topic. Yep.
Yes, Commissioner Cavilia.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be opposed to splitting, and I think if we split it now, now's the opportunity to do that. And if come May time, if we do, need to increase that quota, you could kind of spread that pressure out over 2 hunts versus 1. So it gives us the leeway. Not saying we're gonna, but it gives you a little bit of leeway come May to do that. So I would have no problem splitting it. And like we talked earlier, we've discussed it before, and it kind of got shot down. But and again, I agree. We had less tags back then when we had that discussion. I've got the mic. I did have a couple quick questions, Mike, on the non-resident California bighorn sheep, and it's nothing to do with it's just really just on the 032B, we don't have that B. I know we have it defined over in the resident one. We don't have it defined under the table there on non-resident Calis, and then the same thing on the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. We've got unit 115 with subscript A, and I know that's describing, outside Wheeler Peak, right? Just two real minor items I spotted. I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, those are definite FUPAs that we should have both those footnotes. So if you could, whoever makes that motion, request and now add the missing footnotes to the non-resident California and our Rocky Mountain Bighorn hunt for 115. Thank you for pointing that out.
And then I guess, while I still have the mic, what were your thoughts on the dates? Mr. Cox, you said you already looked at them. So if we were to split 268, did you look at what your thoughts were?
If we were to have 21 days, we could start on the same date, November 20th, and then 21 days would be December 10th. So November 20 through December 10. You could have one day off and then start the late season on December 12th, 12/12. And that would finish on the same day as all the other Southern Nevada seasons on January 1, and that would be 21 days also.
From, excuse me, from 12/12 to January 1, you said?
Correct. And then again, the one-horn ram and our proposed archery season would start January 5th. I would ask if, I know we have Clark County on the phone, CAB, what their thoughts would be.
Real quick question. What if we wanted to give it a couple more days and move it up? I know the U hunt ends on the 15th, so maybe the 16th, add 2 more days to each of the seasons. Any heartburn? I'm just throwing ideas out there. So you would add 2 more for the front, 2 more for the back, just to give it a 23-day season.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with that.
All right. Any other questions at this time for?
Joe would like to, our regional supervisor would like to
Yeah, please.
bring a couple points to bear.
Yeah, Chairman Rogers, members of the commission, Joe Bennett, Southern Region Game Supervisor. Actually, the more I think about the 268 bighorn sheep population, what we observed on survey, we classified around 450 animals, 130 or so of those were rams. We are planning on pulling at least 100 sheep out there, I would say pretty confident, just knowing the drought conditions. We're going to keep creeping up that ram ratio where we're going to exceed 1-to-1. And based off the bighorn sheep management plan, we manage for age structure in rams. So I would probably actually encourage that we split that season, knowing that we went in the last 4 to 5 years from 25 tags to 38, even with the archery quota, knowing that we're going to have probably a little lower success in there, that we're going to continue seeing an increased quota in there just because of that ram ratio, knowing we may eventually reach that threshold on quality, but we do manage for age structure, and there are plenty of mature rams on the landscape.
Thank you for that. Yes, Vice Chairman.
And Mr. Bennett, real quick, while you're up at the, and are you comfortable with the November 16th, stop what it would be the 10th and then out?
I would say on a normal year, when we get some November precip and those sheep have a chance to move off based off those winter germinates, green up occurs. A year like this, they're going to be hunting water regardless. So most years I would feel comfortable knowing that hopefully this is not the normal situation we're dealing with right now.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Bennett. Anything else from the commission at this time? All right, let's see if we can get some public comment here in Reno, and then we'll come back. Any public comment here in Reno specific to sheep and goat? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Henry Krinka, for the record, speaking for myself. On the goats and the snowcock issue, I've guided both of them. My experience is the snowcock hunters like to get out there early before the birds get too wild, and your goat hunters would rather wait till the later part of September when the goats are haired up better. Thank you.
Good morning, Kobe Rowe, Washoe Cab. We'd like to see the elimination of the U-Hunt 3181 and 3281. Given the situation in southern Nevada, we think it would be a better option to use these sheep for relocation within Nevada. Thank you.
All right. Any other public comment here in Reno? All right, seeing none. How about any public comment on Zoom?
Chairman Rogers and the commissioners, this is Paul Dixon, Clark Cab. I will say that we had a short discussion of this at our cab meeting because of the water shortage by Joe Bennett. And our cab, 98% of the time, follows the recommendations of Endow and Joe Bennett. He used to be our other staff sheep biologist down south that we followed also, Pat Cummins. But we've never had a problem or been led wrong by the recommendations of Endow of how to manage our sheep in southern Nevada. So the recommendations by Joe Bennett to you today, we would support 100%. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that.
For the record, Fred Volz. After all the ostensible concern by your licensees and officials that bighorn sheep numbers are in a steady decline, an obvious approach has been studiously overlooked. One step to take in boosting long-term numbers and sustainable herds for future killing seasons would be to completely suspend or drastically reduce the killing seasons and quotas presently, giving them time to organically increase their numbers. No such common sense approach has been suggested in the Endow documentation by biologists or commissioners. Media coverage in the last week saw Endow's Joe Bennett quoted regarding the years-long pneumonia problem among bighorn sheep species, plus chronic wasting disease. All the forced transplants of sheep from unfamiliar places and water holes to inhospitable places won't solve either of these problems, and apparently there are no wonder pharmaceuticals to conquer the diseases. Yet the killing will no doubt continue because your licensees are addicted to the immediate gratification they derive from dominating and killing an animal, and especially the healthiest, biggest, and strongest of the species needed to overcome diseased members. No matter how you try to characterize it and sanitize it with euphemisms, killing at-risk wildlife species isn't anything resembling conservation. It is just regressive behavior toward the ecosystem. As the species numbers continue their inexorable decline, you will find at some point there will be few animals left to kill when species are pushed to their limits. Science has once again been ignored by the department and commission. And in the interest of meeting efficiency, the same comment applies to mule deer quotas and seasons. And I would ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
No more? All right, so we'll bring it back to the commission. Since we didn't have a ton of questions, Mr. Cox, I may, if I could, ask you to comment on the question from Washoe Cab, or the recommendation on, I thought it was doing away with the U-Hunt entirely. Yeah. Anyway, if you might speak to that real quick.
I think we just need to have all the tools in the toolbox out there on the table, and if we do a great job of finding funds and moving a lot of sheep, then the tag quota will definitely be reduced. But we've got ourselves in this pickle because we have too many sheep, and we've been not aggressive enough to manage it to its resource capability. So I don't think this is the time to let things go and then let them die of thirst.
Good, thank you for that. Any other discussion from the commission as it relates to sheep and goat? You know, where my thoughts are on this, I would be supportive of that split season in Unit 268 as well, given everything that's going on down there and you know, the increased numbers that we've seen, excuse me, and the number of you know, congestion that has you know, potentially run into in the past. So anyway, I'd be supportive of that. So, yes, sir, Mr.
Thank you, Chair. I do have one additional question, Mike. On the non-resident Nelson tag for the Mormons specifically, I know we're adding that tag for next year's. That's specific to the deferral. You know, we are adding also the 26-27 season, and it is that something that if looking at I know that herd is down right now. Our tag numbers are limited in there. Is that something we want to leave on the table or just strike it right now? You know, because I know why we're doing it for next year without question, but it's that subsequent year.
I mean, we've got mature rams for the quotas we've been issuing. And I would be positive, I want to think positive that we're going to start seeing some recovery, but, you know, we certainly have the ability during that off-season close it if, based on the 25 season and the information we get from hunters and our surveys. So I think we can leave it, but we'll definitely want to keep our eye on it.
Chairman Rogers, members of the commission, Joe Bennett, Southern Region Game Supervisor. We closed that season 2 years ago based off the population level trend. And I would anticipate that quota to be around 3 or 4. And looking at the harvest data, a lot of them hunters struggled to find mature rams. It was taking 10, 15 days. I would actually anticipate that we would likely close that season. We're mainly reopening it, not for biological reasons, but for the deferral tag. And not to be contradictory to Mike Cox, but I would just probably, instead of having to come back up here, just strike it now, knowing and anticipating how that population trend is doing.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, any other discussion or questions or motion or?
I guess I'll make a motion, but I'm going to ask Vice Chair Young a question first. So what were your thoughts, Vice Chair Young, on those dates if we split 268?
So mine was 11/16 through 12/8, day off. So then it'll be 12/10 through 1/1. And the basis for that is just giving the hunters 2 more days, because generally the season is, what, a 40-day season-ish, and now it's going to go down to a 23-day season. Mr. Cox, is my math on there?
No, we're okay. We're okay with that.
All right, I guess with that, Chair, if there's no other discussion. So I'm going to make a motion, hold on one second, to approve Commission Regulation 2507, 2025-2026, and 2026-2027 big game seasons specific to sheep and goats with the following changes. On resident Nelson bighorn sheep hunt 3151, we're going to split hunt unit 268 into an early and a late hunt with the season dates on the early hunt of November 16th through December 8th, and then the late hunt will be December 10th through January 1st. On the non-resident Nelson bighorn sheep hunt 3251, as presented with the same change to hunt unit 268, we'll have an early hunt and a late hunt. And then I don't believe I need to read the dates again. On Unit 271, 242, we'll have the hunt in 2025, 2026 from November 20th to January 1st, but we will not have the hunt for the non-residents in 2026, 2027. Non-resident archery, or resident Nelson Bighorn Sheep Archery Hunt 3161 as presented. Resident Nelson Desert Bighorn Sheep Management One Horn Hunt 3171 as presented. Resident Nelson Bighorn Sheep Any Ram Management Hunt 3172 as presented. Resident Nelson Bighorn Sheep Any U Hunt 3181 as presented. Non-resident Nelson Bighorn Sheep Any U Any Legal Weapon Hunt 3281 as presented. Resident California Bighorn Sheep Hunt 8151 as presented. Non-resident California Bighorn Sheep Any Ram Hunt 8251 as presented with the note that we're going to add the bullet for the description of the hunt unit 032B. And the resident Rocky Mountain Bighorn Sheep Hunt Any Legal Weapon Hunt 9151 as presented with the same thing with the note on hunt unit 115A with that bullet describing the unit group 115A. Resident Mountain Goat Hunt Any Legal Weapon Hunt 7151 as presented, and then non-resident Mountain Goat Hunt Any Legal Weapon Hunt 7251 as presented.
Real quick, great work, Commissioner Cravilla. Could we strike 252 as well?
Yes, so I'll modify that motion, so in, let's see, where's that at? Yeah, just for clarity, we'll strike unit 252 in the notes.
All right. So we have a motion with those noted changes. And from Commissioner Caviglia, we have a second from Vice Chair Young. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you. That was
Thank you,
great.
Chair Rogers and the commission.
Great discussion. If I could, I'm getting some white flags up here. If I could, we've been going for darn near a couple of hours. Let's take a bit of a break and maybe plan on coming back here at 10:30. Okay? go ahead and get back started again here. And again, just for reference, we are still on agenda item 20G. Again, this is Commission Regulation 25-07. We're talking about 2025, 2026, and 2026-2027 big game seasons. And we have covered antelope, and we have covered bighorn sheep and goat. So we will move on from there.
Thanks, Chairman Rogers. Staff Specialist Cody McKee for the record. I'm going to talk a little bit about our changes to elk seasons. As Administrator Espinoza mentioned, we had some tweaks made this year. I would say those suggested season changes are mostly fine-tuning, either because of coinciding seasons with Utah and Unit 091. We are also making some management tweaks to our elk seasons in 072, 073, 074, and 075. Our previous season structure, we had differential pressure during our cow elk seasons for neighboring units, and what was happening is elk were getting pushed across those boundaries and unavailable for the hunt. So the new season recommendations are in line with neighboring hunt units so that we're pressuring elk equally at the same time. We have 2 units that are on a biennial rotation for our rut season, September 17th to 30th. That's 161 to 164, concurrent with 171 to 173, as well as 241 and 242. The last recommended season change made by the department is the closure of Unit 115 that was at one time held with 114 and 115. This, in my opinion, highlights the real collaborative nature amongst or within the agency as we're developing these seasons. Because of challenges with the rifle depredation hunt in 115 that overlapped with the archery hunt for cow elk, we wanted to minimize potential conflict between those 2 weapon classes. And at the recommendation of law enforcement, we closed Unit 115 to archery hunters so that we can continue to offer that depredation season in that area. With that, I'm happy to take any questions or provide clarifications. There were a few recommendations made by the CABs that the department does support. I'm not sure if those representatives are all here today or not. Thank you.
All righty, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Cody. Any questions, discussion, comments from the commission at this point? All right, Vice Chair Young? Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. McKee. As to the White Pine County's comment of the 108, 131, 132 muzzleloader hunt, moving the seasons up to October 5th to 21st, it's my understanding it's a low success hunt. Could you comment, give an opinion on your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that in collaboration with Ridge Ricketts, our area biologist, there was a discussion about season dates. By shifting it earlier, there was essentially an opening. That puts it a little bit closer to the rut. That hunt can be challenging because of the densities of pinyon and juniper in the unit. We might see an increase in success for those season dates. That was a White Pine County recommendation. I would say it's mostly a social recommendation, and honestly, I don't really have any heartache over that change.
Yes, Commissioner Bourne.
If that were to happen.
Might not be.
Okay, there we go. If that were to happen, I would be extremely cautious with quotas. That would worry me. That October 5th, my place is right in the middle of that, and the 5th to the 15th is still pretty heavy in the rut in that country, so that would kind of bother me.
All right. Any other comments or thoughts at this time? Yes, Commissioner Gavilia?
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily on board with moving that date up either. I mean, I think the whole notion of that was to try to make that hunt easier. These early muzzleloader hunts are, at least there in eastern Nevada, they are always difficult. And I have the same concerns as Commissioner Bourne that you are, at that early October date, you're absolutely going to be in the rut. And their whole intent was try to make that an easier hunt, and I know it was. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Commissioner Gavilia and Commissioner Bourne. Yeah, I mean, this is entirely a social issue. I don't really have heartbreak one way or the other if it stays the same or if we shift it earlier.
All right, thank you for that. Any other comments or questions at this point? All right, let's send it out maybe for some public comment. And if there's any public comment here in Reno, specific to elk? All right, seeing none. How about any public comment via Zoom? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. Any additional discussion, questions, motion?
So, Chair Rogers, I don't know how you would like to go through these. There are a couple of recommendations that were sensible that were made by the county advisory boards.
Yes, please.
And I think the one that comes to mind at this time is the introduction of a mid-season hunt in 062 for antlerless elk. In looking at our recent harvest statistics, we feel like offering 3 seasons for cows, we may be more effective at meeting our harvest objectives for that area.
So again, Cody, I'm sorry, that was a unit 062?
062 for the any legal weapon antlerless elk. And
Okay.
then I have the seasons written down here. I can
Okay.
hand that over. So that would be the addition of a season in 062 running October 5th to October 21st for both the resident and the non-resident antlerless hunts.
All right. Was that the only one? Okay.
There were other recommendations. I think those were the ones that the department supported. For the ones that we don't support, and there's not representatives here, I don't
Yep.
know how you guys want us to carry those forward.
Yeah, no, we're good. All right. Any other questions or, again, comments, any concern or heartburn over the proposed addition of that antlerless hunt in 062 and those dates? I certainly didn't have any either. Yes, Commissioner Keel?
Yeah, thanks. Chair Rogers, with that, I'll go ahead and move to approve Commission Regulation 25-07, respective of the elk and moose hunts. So resident elk antlered hunt 4102 as presented. Resident elk antlered any legal weapon hunt 4151 as presented. Non-resident elk antlered any legal weapon hunt 4251 as presented. Resident elk antlered muzzleloader hunt 4156 as presented. Non-resident elk antlered muzzleloader hunt 4256 as presented. Resident elk antlered archery hunt 4161 as presented. Non-resident elk antlered archery hunt 4261 as presented. Resident elk spike any legal weapon 4651 as presented. Resident elk antlerless hunt any legal weapon 4181 as presented, in addition to adding a mid-season hunt for unit group 062 with season dates running from October 5th to October 21st. The same would apply to the non-resident elk antlerless hunt, any legal weapon 4281. Again, with that addition of the mid-season hunt in 062 running from October 5th to October 21st. Resident elk antlerless muzzleloader hunt 4176 is presented. Non-resident elk antlerless muzzleloader hunt 4276 is presented. Resident elk antlerless archery hunt 4111 as presented. Non-resident elk antlerless archery hunt 4211 as presented. Resident elk antlerless any legal weapon depredation hunt 4107 as presented. And resident moose antlered any legal weapon 10151 as presented.
All right, I think we got it. Thank you for that. So we have a motion for approval with those noted changes. And we have from Commissioner Keel, and we have a second from Commissioner Caviglia. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to mule deer. For the record, Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder. So just a brief overview, not much changes proposed for mule deer. As Sean, Mr. Espinoza alluded to earlier, probably the main thing is just shifting some of those junior, I guess we're calling it the classic hunt 1107 now to the primitive weapon split season structure for 7 additional units throughout the state. The rationale behind that was just we think we can offer a few more tags to juniors, knowing that some of the primitive weapon hunters are probably not going to be as successful as the any legal weapon hunters. And that's about it. We did have one minor change to the 181 junior hunt, regular classic hunt, just extending that a little bit to November 5th. And with that, I'd have to take any questions.
Say, Cody, one question I did have on that one hunt that you just mentioned for the juniors, 181 and through 184, with that one change. What was that date previously? I know we've changed it, or you have it proposed here for November 5th. Just curious if you recall what it was.
I believe it was the 2nd. I don't actually have my last year's. It was either the 1st or the 2nd of November.
And knowing, yeah, I see a lot of them are some of the 2nd, some of the 5th. But anyway, just curious if there was any major
Just to extend that a little bit farther, I mean, that is getting into the rut, so it does provide a few more days into the rut for juniors. It was the 2nd previously.
It was 2nd,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you for that. All right. With that, any questions from the commission or discussion around some of those proposed changes? Again, looks like, a few additions on the junior hunt, but anyway, any questions, concerns, comments on any of that? All right, at this time, seeing none, let's let me make sure before All right. So with that, if there isn't any, maybe we'll just send it out for public comment here real quick. And how about any public comment here in Reno as it relates to the mule deer?
Thank you, Commission. Kobe Rowe, Washoe Cab. And we had some concern from the public on Unit 194, 196 archery early. with increased use from other outdoor enthusiasts and development, they were concerned about the quality of the hunt versus the later archery hunt, which traditionally, when winter moves in, provides more opportunities. So we'd like to close hunt 1341 and the non-resident 1342 for 194, 196. Thank you.
Yeah, if I could, again, the proposal was 194, 196, closing both of those, the early and the late?
Sorry, just the early for 194, 196, and I think it's 1341 for resident
Yes,
and 1342 for non-resident.
correct.
And then we still have a late archery tag in December, so there's
Okay.
still opportunity for the hunters, and it'll be an easier hunt. They ran into issues with mountain bikers, side-by-sides, you name it, and not a lot of opportunity is what they expressed, so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment here on mule deer in Reno? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment on Zoom? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion or questions. Cody, again, given not a whole lot of questions, I maybe would ask you to comment on the notion of that archery hunt, 1341 and 1342 for the 194 and 96 early. Anyway, just any thoughts or opinions on that?
I mean, so yeah, I guess I do have heartburn with that personally, just one person's opinion that ran into some congestion with recreation. You're gonna run into that during the rifle season as well, and the late season. There's people that mountain bike on Peavine in December. There were only 5 tags total, 4 resident, 1 non-resident. They harvested 3 deer, 48 deer total harvested in 194, 196, including the specialty tags, PIW and Heritage. So yeah, that's 5% of the total harvest. I don't see a reason to close it personally. It offers a little bit more opportunity just because those deer do tend to be higher in elevation. Mount Rose Wilderness, you can't ride bikes in the Mount Rose Wilderness. You can't ride side-by-sides in the Mount Rose Wilderness, but you could bow hunt there in that early season. So I don't personally get that, and I don't see a reason to close it either.
No trouble. Thank you. Any other questions or comments, discussion as it relates to mule deer, or motion, any temperature on that? Yes, Mr. Keel.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and move to approve Commission Regulation 25-07, respective of all of the mule deer hunts as presented.
All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner Keel on approval as presented. We've got a second from Vice Chair Young. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and then along with 2507, we do have the emergency big game hunts as well for 24, 25. I believe that should say 25, 26 actually on the header. So it looks like there's an error on the CR. Other than that, we have not really changed much on this. Looks like we did add a little bit of language, just clarifying the randomized about the actual procedural methods of selecting applicants if we were to use one of these emergency big game hunts. It's in blue at the bottom of the CR on the last page.
All right. Any questions around that 2020, the emergency big game hunts? Any questions on that or comments? All right. Seeing none. Oh, yes. Mhm.
I'm sorry, thank you, Chair. I got one quick question. So on that, the new language or randomized drop, would that be like Is that where you guys thinking it would be like a separate draw that you put in for, completely independent of the main draw? Because I think the way the original one read it was the applicants that were already in the current system, right? So is that the intent of that additional language?
Commissioner Cavilla, Cody McKee for the record. I believe you're correct. So the language that it existed for issuing these tags has been modified over time. There was a point where we did issue all of our emergency tags through a randomized process, just like we do the main draw. Somehow that language ended up getting omitted from the emergency season structure. The addition of the new language pretty much gives us full flexibility for issuing emergency depredation tags depending on the situation. So in some cases, we may have a season structure that exists where we have a pool of applicants that fits that needed emergency hunt, and we could pull there. In other cases, it may be a completely new hunt where we don't have an existing pool of applicants and we need to go about it in a different route to get those potential applicants. But yeah, if you've drawn a tag for that, then you would be ineligible to apply in this proposed process.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion from the commission or comments? Excuse me. All right, seeing none, let's take that out for public comment as well real quick. Any public comment here in Reno regarding the emergency big game hunt?
Mel Belding, general public. Just an explanation. This is season settings. I see the season here July 1st through June 30th, but it also has a quota down there. Are we approving that today, or is that going to be approved in the May meeting? Thanks.
All right, any other public comment here in Reno around emergency big game hunts? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion or comments. Cody, again, given the limited questions, any comment on that question from the gentleman regarding the quota, not to exceed 2,000 or whatever it says?
Yeah, you would be approving that quota. That's our recommended quota, is not to exceed 2,000 cumulative tags. That's correct. That's pretty much the way we've always done it. We just take care of it now while we're setting the season for this.
Okay.
We don't need a separate quota when it comes to that.
Okay, yep. Any other comments? Further discussion as it relates to the emergency big game hunt? Yep, Vice Chair Young.
Thank you, Chair. If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 20G, Commission Regulation 25-07, 2025 to 2026, and 2026 2027 big game seasons, with the two changes in the title to 2025 and 2026, right before emergency big game hunts. So I'd move to approve this.
All right, so we've got a motion for approval from Vice Chair Young, and we've got a second from Commissioner Bourne. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. Does that conclude that one? Did we get them all? Under G?
I believe we didn't do the moose.
Yes.
Oh, we did.
Yep.
Got it. That's it. So.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right, we got them all.
Sorry.
Perfect.
I was asleep. And then, did we move the agenda item around for the non-resident guided, or did I miss that?
We did, but yeah, after agenda item H, then
Okay.
we'll switch those up.
I got you.
All right, so with that, we will close out agenda item 20G, and we will move on to agenda item 20H. And this is Commission Regulation 25-08. This is the 2025 Black Bear season. Game Division Administrator Sean Espinoza. The commission will consider and may take action to approve the 2025 hunting season dates, open management units, hunting hours, special regulations, animal sex, legal weapon requirement, hunt boundary restrictions, and dates and times for indoctrination courses for black bear. Mr. Espinoza.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers, members of the commission. Sean Espinoza, Game Division Administrator for the record. So for this particular regulation, really it's no changes from the 2024 season recommendation. So the opening and closing dates would remain the same. The hunt unit groups and the boundary descriptions would remain the same as in the 2024 season. The dates for the indoctrination courses prior to the 2025 season have been changed so that we have that recorded for 2025, and the hunt hours remain the same. That said, we have some recommendations that have been noted with respect to the indoctrination course. There are two ways I think that we could go about addressing some of those concerns. One is to potentially change those dates and move those dates into July for the indoctrination, into mid to late July. But there's also the availability to take that course via Zoom and have that. It says in here in that fourth bullet down, second to last sentence, that courses will be recorded on Zoom and available for first come, first served tag holders. We could clarify that and say that's available to all tag holders no matter when they draw that tag, so that it's a little bit more clear. So we're willing to take some recommendations on that particular item. The issue has been in the past with that Zoom recording is oftentimes we do have to pursue some of those tag holders and ask again for them to please take the course before we provide the tag, and some people can be oddly enough hard to track down, so.
All righty. Excuse me, any discussion from the commission or comments or questions as it relates to the 2025 black bear season? Yes, Commissioner Cavilion.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm more inclined to not leave it a free-for-all on the Zoom and maybe, as you mentioned, ship those dates up into July and then leave the Zoom option for that day. But I wonder how cumbersome that, if you give people the Zoom option, a lot of people are probably going to pounce on it. I mean, in my perfect world, you make them attend an actual class. I think it's better in person, but I would be more inclined to move it to July and then leave the Zoom option as is right now, would be my thoughts.
All right. Any other comments or questions as it relates to the item? All right. Seeing none at this time, let's go ahead and take it out for any public comment. Any public comment here in Reno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Henry Krinka, speaking for the Nevada Division, Nevada Outfitters and Guides Association. This is on the indoctrination class. It sounds like it's going to be changed, but if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read what an outfitter sent to me for comments. It says, during the last two archery antelope seasons, myself and sub-guides were forced to leave the field during the active guided hunt in order to attend the mandatory indoctrination course. The classes are only offered on 2 dates with specific times. An outfitter cannot guide without attending the class, and a hunter doesn't receive a tag until the course is completed. What I'm asking is for an online course to be created so that a class is available to be taken anytime before the season. It is possible that some outfitters would not take the class when scheduled if clients haven't booked yet. Also, it is just ridiculous to have to stop a client's antelope hunt so that I can attend a class. Utah has a required bear class for hunters, and it's very comprehensive. The Utah class offers a certificate of completion. I understand why NDAL requires a class to be taken, yet it is very redundant. I have taken the class many times, and the information is repetitive at best. Thank you.
All right, any other public comment here in Reno? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom?
My name is Catherine Bricker. I'm a Douglas County resident, and I request my comments be entered into the record verbatim. NAC states it is unlawful for any person to kill a female black bear that is accompanied by a black bear cub. This law is clearly ineffective at fulfilling its intended purpose. I ask the Commission to take immediate action to rectify the problem. Despite lactating female bears being killed regularly, has any tag holder ever been charged? The bear hunt anthem is starting to seem more like a Britney Spears song. Oops, we did it again. There are no consequences to those who I allege know better, yet kill a mother bear even so. According to NDAL mortality reports for last year's hunt, a 150-pound lactating female bear was killed October 1st in the Pine Nut Mountains using professional guides and their packs of hounds. Could these guys not recognize a 150-pound bear? Could they not see she was a female? Could they not see her swollen nipples as she gazed down from the tree? In response to news of the 2 mother bears with dependent cubs who were killed in the 2023 hunt, an article in the Nevada Current reported the following, quote, "I had not heard of lactating female bears with cubs being killed," says longtime bear hunter and guide Mitch Bailey of Nevada Hunting Services. Quote, "You're going to have infanticide, no question about it, because these young cubs are likely not able to fend for themselves, and they're going to be preyed on by male bears." End of quote. Bailey says his company, quote, "very much discourages harvesting sows. Female bears are just off limits. It's not something we do. It doesn't matter if they're single and have no cubs." End of quote. Given that the intent of the NAC to protect dependent cubs is a broadly shared value, I ask the Commission for the 2025 hunt to take one of 2 actions. Number 1, ban the killing of female bears while the NAC issue can be addressed. And/or 2, suspend the license and fine the guides and tag holders who harvest a female bear whose body upon check-in indicates she has dependent cubs. Perhaps doing so will help this issue to be taken more seriously by those who do not. Thank you.
I'm Jackie Chandler. I'm representing Sustainable Tahoe, so I get 6 minutes of public comment. I just want to start by saying you must know by now how horribly unpopular this bear hunt is with the public at large, over 95% of us. But what does it say about our society when we choose to destroy what we could instead cherish? The black bear is a beloved, intelligent, essential species in Nevada's ecosystems and has a sacred connection to our forests, our communities, and the cultural heritage. The outdated practice of hunting black bears is shameful, medieval, wasteful, and costly. It's time for Nevada to evolve beyond this destructive behavior. Hunting is detrimental to forest health. Black bears are a keystone species, essential for forest regeneration. They disperse seeds over large areas through scat, helping maintain diverse plant life. Hunting disrupts this ecological balance, leading to long-term harm to forest health and biodiversity. Hunting is traumatizing to an intelligent social species. Black bears are highly intelligent and exhibit social bonds. Hunting causes immense stress and trauma, destabilizing their populations. Orphan cubs are left to starve or fall prey to predators and disease. Hunting increases urban conflicts. The hunters disrupt bear territories, pushing them into the urban areas to seek food and shelter. I've seen this personally in Incline, the increase since 2010 when this ridiculous hunt started. This has led to increased bear conflicts, property damage, and roadkill in the Tahoe Basin communities. Instead of reducing bear-related problems, hunting has exacerbated them by scattering populations into unsafe environments. But there's an economic opportunity in wildlife watching, which generates $250 billion annually in the U.S. and is a cornerstone of sustainable tourism. Black bears are a major attraction for ecotourists, providing 10 times the revenue hunting ever could for local communities. Hunting diminishes these opportunities by reducing bear populations and their visibility in the wild. There's no justifiable need to kill wildlife, and killing bears is unnecessary and inexcusable in an advanced society with access to better solutions. Modern science provides non-lethal strategies to manage human-wildlife interactions that include habit restoration, education on coexistence, improved waste management practices. Nevada's wildlife laws are failing bears. They prioritize the interest of hunters. They're silencing the majority who value wildlife for ecological and intrinsic reasons. The commission responsible for wildlife management is funded by the hunting revenues, creating a conflict of interest and perpetuating unethical practices. We need laws that reflect the broader constituency who value lives of wildlife over recreational profit. And hunting is not even a sport, it's exploitation. True sportsmanship actually requires consent between both participants. Animals aren't consenting here. Modern hunting has devolved into a trophy-driven video game mentality, treating animals as targets rather than being deserving of respect. A culture of exploitation degrades the dignity of both the hunter and the hunted. We call for a moral and practical path forward using a new currency, like the currency of caring. Let's stop measuring success by profit or domination over nature and adopt a currency of caring that values compassion, sustainability, and coexistence. We advocate for non-lethal wildlife management practices, supporting conservation initiatives that protect bear habitats and promote coexistence, programs that educate the public on the ecological and ethical importance of preserving black bears. Proposed reforms include diversify the Wildlife Commission funding so it comes from sources beyond hunters, such as ecotourism, conservation programs, amend the NRS to include 6 voices for conservation, wildlife, and tourism in the public, not just hunters. Ban bear hunting in Nevada as it was before 2010 and is desired by 95% of the Nevadans. Promote wildlife education to increase awareness of the ecological and cultural importance that black bears play to foster community support for their protection. Every individual has a role in adopting this new currency, from choosing wildlife-friendly policies to supporting ethical ecotourism and conservation initiatives. Communities can lead the way by advocating for coexistence, rejecting exploitive practices, and holding decision makers accountable. Let's measure success not by the number of trophies on a wall, but by the richness of life in our forests, the thriving of interconnected ecosystems, and the ability of future generations to inherit a world alive with wonder. How do you want to be remembered? As a society that destroyed what it didn't understand, or one that cherished, protected, and lived in harmony with nature? Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Stephanie Myers. Jackie Chu has laid out some excellent recommendations for you to consider, and I hope that you will consider those. Remember that this bear hunt is deeply unpopular in this state. 95% of the people who live in Nevada do not want this hunt. So why does it continue? Please limit the quota to 0. Thank you.
Commissioners, Paul Dixon, Clark Cab. We had a fairly lively discussion at the Clark Cab on this. 8 members of the public commented. In the end, our board was split, 7-member board, with a 5-1-1 vote. And we voted to support the regulation of having a black bear season, because if you don't have a black bear season, then you don't have a black bear hunt. Understanding that the setting of a season means you have at least a quota of 1. The dissenting vote in Las Vegas was they felt that black bears should not be harvested because there's no good predator management reason for harvesting bears, and that the small number of bears in Nevada played a very important role in our dry ecosystem. Having said that, I heard the last 2 public comments mention 95% of the population in Nevada doesn't want that. I would like to see the study that shows 3.1 million people have written in to you or to any organization and said they oppose the black bear hunt. I don't like when they throw out numbers like 95%. The majority of the people who oppose bear hunting oppose bear hunting. The majority of people who enjoy bear hunting in the state support it. So I don't understand how 95% number comes into being. And I think it's a falsehood to use the number 95% in a public setting without scientific data to show that 3.1 or 2 million people in this state have been surveyed and they all agree that bear hunting is bad. Thank you.
For the record, Fred Volz. The trophy bear hunt continues to lack any management plan supporting its operations, despite year after year of public comment reminding officials to follow well-settled scientific concepts. The public you are to serve has been told bear hunters and their guides are expert enough to bypass females, but we had hunter-caused female death this past year, proving your indoctrination isn't working. Ms. Bricker gave you constructive suggestions on how to improve that sorry situation. As with virtually all other species, the department's black bear population guesstimates have wildly fluctuated from 400 to 800 over the years. In the documentation, there is now no population guesstimate at all underlying the biological justification for a killing season, nor listing of mortalities from all sources, including those bears that are killed by endow, by vehicles, and by hunters. This hunt is all about killer convenience, opportunity, and success. Emotional and subjective justifications for a biologically destructive activity that are not favorable for the species. And I would ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Kathy Smith for the record. I just wanted to comment to say, please shorten the bear season and give our bears more time to forage for hibernation. Because the commission has decided to continue the use of hounds, the bears can be chased for several hours, resulting in a significant loss of calories. A scientific study funded by the department only found that 13% of respondents supported hound hunting. Actually, the majority of hunters did not support hound hunting. An additional benefit of delaying the season would be to give cubs a month or two more to grow, since there seem to be no consequences for killing females with cubs. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Craig Downer. I'm from Minden, Nevada, a wildlife ecologist. Been listening to this testimony. I'd like to say I agree with those who would like to suspend the black bear hunt. I've studied, I'm an ecologist, and I've studied the role of all the different omnivores and predators and herbivores, and think these black bears play a really important role in the ecosystem as seed dispersers. For example, the pinyon nut, which they spread far and wide, and they're passing through their digestive system, can help that seed to germinate. Also, they do predate on certain smaller animals that can, if their removal can cause unbalance of these animals and perhaps use of poisons. So they play a really important role in the ecosystem. And also, I'd like to testify that their removal actually upsets the food chains and food webs and depletes the ecosystem of vital nutrients that their bodies, whether predated or scavenged or simply decomposed into the soils. In other words, they enrich or bolster this life community. And so I certainly agree with the earlier testifiers that these bears are a really valuable member of the Nevada ecosystem, and that many people, such as myself, enjoy observing them and learning from them rather than just going and killing them and removing them, and thus robbing the ecosystem of a vital role player, and as far as their mortal remains go, as a contributor also to the material well-being of the various plants and animals of the ecosystem. So greatly appreciate your listening to me and willing to work with you for better treatment of our wonderful black bears. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Massaro.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go
Hello?
ahead.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to, I'm representing an organization, so if I can have 6 minutes. I represent union members for the Preservation of Wildlife International. I'm Randall Massaro. I would like to commend your, one of your, I guess your director, Linda Barr. She is fabulous. She, after all day of meetings, she gave me a call the other night, and got me here to obviously help me get on this thing today, this webinar. So again, kudos to your director. For the commissioners out there, this isn't our first rodeo, gentlemen. I've been at this since your very first inception of the bear hunt. I sit on 5 Native American boards. Our union members for Preservation of Wildlife is a Teamster-based organization that was out of Europe in 1970. We grew to Canada, United States, and now have chapters in Africa, all going after the hunting and trapping industry, the tax dollars being spent, politicians that support and subsidize the hunting, businesses that support and subsidize hunting. We're different than many of the other animal rights organizations. We're not a 501c3. Needless to say, we were there during the inception of the first ever bear hunt in Nevada when the natives spoke, and they did not want the bear hunt as a cultural thing. The Native Americans hold the horse, the bear sacred, and just like Nevada Wildlife Commission that you guys keep voting to kill more bears, it's a slap in the face to the Native community. On behalf of union members for preservation of wildlife and our Native Americans, that I sit on 5 Native American boards, I'm not Native. My family's from New York. But I think the comparison here is obviously your guides, teaching your guides isn't working. They're obviously making mistakes. They're, after listening to Catherine Bricker, Fred Volz, Stephanie Myers, Craig Downer, Jackie Chandler, listen to the people out there. These are all either wildlife or ecological organizations that are in touch with society. Myself, now as a retired state peace officer, I was trained, worked in federal law enforcement, and now exposing the BLM roundups at $200 million tax dollars a year and who's subsidizing it. And also the wildlife hunts. In California, we just won protection for the wolves a few years ago. Now we have 9 wolf packs coming back to California. We won protection against bobcat trapping in California. We beat the Safari Club. We took on the Safari Club in the hunting industry on hound dog hunting of bears and bobcats. We won. This is what our union members does. This is what we do. This is what we specialize in. Gentlemen, needless to say, I see your faces as you're sitting there listening to Catherine Bricker, Jackie Chandler, Craig Downer, and it's a face of disgust. Well, on our side, it's a face of disgust too. We were at this ever since the first bear hunt when, at that time, the Nevada Wildlife Board yelled racial remarks at the natives. They got it on video, and right now we just did 2 documentaries on the BLM wild horse roundups in Nevada and elsewhere. We're doing documentaries right now as we speak on the Nevada bear hunt and other hunting, which obviously the documentarians are taking all this footage down for the documentary coming out on how corruption and money and the killing of our American wildlife. Ecotourism outweighs hunting and trapping every day. I went up to our Canadian brothers and sisters in British Columbia. While hunting brings in $3 to $5 million into British Columbia, ecotourism brings in $30 to $75 million. It doesn't take a Rhodes Scholar to figure this out. My God, I wish all of you would invest in some sort of tourist industry and let Nevada be a destination for ecotourism to see wildlife alive. Shoot it with a camera. Why shoot it with a gun? I mean, listen, I was a state peace officer and I worked in federal law enforcement. Many of the agents and police officers I work with often used to tease me. Hey, Massaro, I killed a deer for you this year. I said, you know what? Let me take you to Brooklyn, New York, where my people are from, Little Italy, and see what it's like to be hunted. I said, let me tell you something, guys. This is outrageous. You kill a mother bear. You guys are supposed to be experienced hunters. The credo of hunting is you eat what you hunt. And if that credo is alive today, now as an actor in Hollywood, many actors in Hollywood are looking at you right now. I mean, I've done 12 movies, documentaries, and we're exposing what's going on. So all I could tell you is killing a mother bear, it's just, it doesn't make you guys shine in a good light for hunters. And if you do eat what you hunt, how many bears have you eaten this year? How many coyotes? You guys allow coyote killing contests in Nevada. You allow trapping where it's cruel, inhumane. Where are the animal cruelty laws in Nevada? You have the wild horse roundups going on, taxpayer dollars footing the bill. And yet you clear the horses off to put cattle and sheep there that destroy the land. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If the credo of hunting is you eat what you hunt, how many mountain lions have you eaten this year? How many bobcats and wolverines and badgers have you eaten this year? How many bears have you eaten this year? Come on, hunters. I mean, Hollywood's looking at you right now as we speak. We're getting this on the documentary and going back to the first 2010 bear hunt when the Nevada Department of Wildlife yelled racial remarks at the natives. And then what did they do? They called out the police to arrest Lisa Bonta on a 3-year-old bench warrant. I'm a police officer. You can't bring a bench warrant back to life after it's expunged by a judge. I called our legal associates in Vegas. They called the judges in Reno and they kicked her out of jail. No sooner the FBI was looking for her, for them, and for me. Well, because why? Because American Indian Movement is considered an eco-terrorist group? I don't think so. Listen, Nevada Wildlife Board, listen to Catherine Bricker, Jackie Chandler, listen to Stephanie Myers, listen to Fred Volz. Kudos to all of them. Craig Downer. Listen to the people that are there. On behalf of union members, Teamsters, AFL-CIO, we're pushing for a boycott of all travel to Nevada. I'm going
All right, one more. All right.
Yes, this is Steve Robinson, Washoe Cab. At our Washoe Cab meeting this week, we voted unanimously to support this bear hunt. And with 100% of the public supporting the bear hunt that was in attendance. I'd like to speak to that last speaker, that violent, unhinged rhetoric that hunters should be brought to New York City and be hunted themselves. This is the kind of activity and thoughts that we're having to fight and trying to stand up against. We don't wish harm on these anti-hunters. We want to preserve these bears. We're not trying to exterminate them from the habitat. I was lucky enough to get a bear this year, and I did eat that bear. The meat sticks have been fantastic, rendered the bear fat down, and been using it for cooking, and I've utilized every bit of that bear. So yes, we do, and we also have a bill in front of the legislature this year to make it mandatory to remove the bear meat as I've been promoting for years. So I ask you to support this bear hunt. Thank you.
All right. Excuse me. So that concludes any public comment. We'll bring it back to the commission. Commission for any additional discussion or any discussion or comments, questions. I am, much like Commissioner Caviglia, I am supportive of the of potentially moving the course to that July. I think the course is a big piece of the puzzle. So anyway, I would be supportive of that. But anything else from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Caviglia.
Thank you, Chair. I guess for Sean, you mentioned you guys had already looked at some August dates. Do you know what dates the department was considering if we were to move that class up
I haven't looked at,
that far?
thank you for the question, Commissioner Caviglia. I haven't looked at that closely yet. It'll probably be that third week in July. We'll probably have 2 dates.
I guess just for today, would it be something that if the commission chose to, we could make the direction to just put that in July and leave the department leeway to set those 2 dates?
Director Janae, any?
Yep.
I will say, yeah. I'm hoping that we would have a calendar and we could take a look and maybe try to nail that down so that there'd be something a little bit more concrete in that. Yeah.
Members of the commission, I would just suggest Thursday, July 17th, and Saturday, July 19th, as the 2 dates.
Okay. Any concerns about those dates from Director Janae?
There was a discussion, a sidebar over here about a possible, trying to spread them out a little bit more just so that they weren't 2 days apart, but I can understand in the efficiencies of staff, but maybe we move the weekend to the following weekend so that it does create more separation, so that if somebody had a block of time where they weren't available, they could possibly next one, so that would go to?
That would be the 26th.
26th.
So again, the notion possibly being Thursday, July 17, and Saturday, July 26. All right. But yeah, I mean, I'd be comfortable with that personally, if that's the flavor of the commission, so anyway. All right, any other discussion or questions for Mr. Espinoza or motion?
You know me, I'm not scared to make a motion.
All right.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve CR 2508, the 2025 Black Bear season as presented with the noted change, just specific to the indoctrination course. We're going to change that to Thursday, July 17th, and then on Saturday, July 26th. The remainder of the season as presented.
All right, perfect. So we've got yes, Deputy Director Scott.
Yeah, the last bullet point, I'm sorry, the third bullet point, we would also contact those tag holders prior to July 14th rather than August 14th.
Okay. Yep, that noted change. All right. So again, we've got a motion for approval with the noted changes. And a second by Commissioner Keel. All those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. All right, so now we will move to agenda item 20J that we talked about moving up a little bit. So this is 20J. This is Commission Regulation 25-10. The 2025-2026 restricted non-resident guided mule deer seasons and quotas. Wildlife Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder, the commission will consider and may take action to approve the 2025 hunting season and quotas for restricted non-resident guided mule deer, including hunt boundary restrictions. Mr. Schroeder.
Yep. For the record, Staff Specialist Cody Schroeder. Hopefully this will be pretty short and easy. No changes proposed for the seasons. We didn't make any previously, so there's no need to change any of these season dates for the 25-26 season. And then you'll be approving the quota as well, which is set in this NRS 502-147 based on the proportion of tags that were issued last year. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Five and one. Okay, any questions, comments, discussion from the commission as it relates to the restricted non-resident guided mule deer hunt? All right, seeing none, we'll take it out for any public comment then here in Reno. Any public comment here in Reno? All right, seeing no public comment here in Reno, how about any public comment on Zoom? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any discussion, questions, thoughts, motion. Yep, Commissioner Barnes, yes, sir.
Okay, not seeing any discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'd move to approve Commission Regulation 25-10, 2025-2026 restricted non-resident guided mule deer seasons and quota as presented.
All right, so I've got a motion for approval as presented by Commissioner Barnes, a second by Commissioner Bourne. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, so we are on now then to agenda item 20I. And this is the Commission Regulation 25-09. This is the 2025 Mountain Lions Season and Harvest Limits. Wildlife Staff Specialist Russell Wolstenholme. The Commission will consider and may take action to approve the 2025 hunting season open units, harvest limits by unit group, hunting hours, and special regulation for mountain lion.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers. Sean Espinoza, Game Division Administrator for the record, filling in for Russell Wolstenholme. The department has no really recommended changes for the mountain lion season. No other changes to open units or closed units, and the department recommends no change to the statewide harvest limit of 247. So relatively simple.
All right. With that, any questions for Mr. Espinosa regarding the proposed mountain lion season and harvest limits? All right, seeing none, we'll take that out for, excuse me, take that out for any public comment here in Reno. All right, seeing none, no public comment here in Reno. How about any public comment via Zoom?
Hi, this is Kathy Smith, Washoe County, for the record. First, for completeness, Montana has a trap visitation of 48 hours for wolves. Bobcats are 48 hours in areas with lynx. Arizona has a 24-hour trap visitation. Utah, Texas, Oregon are all 48 hours. Idaho is the outlier, 72, of course, with the exception of Nevada, which is 96. Anyway, it would be amazing if these animals were treated with more respect. 365 days of hunting day or night minimizes their role in the ecosystem. They are very important for disease control. A 2022 study found that predators had an 8 to 10 times greater potential to reduce disease when they selected for infected prey, which they tended to do. Of course, this study had some limitation, but this makes sense intuitively. A study in 2021 revealed that lions were able to sequester or eliminate the deadly prions causing chronic wasting disease. Only 3.4% of the prion load was evacuated by lions after eating infected deer, and this occurred only in the first defecation. Unlike bird flu, lions don't seem to contract chronic wasting disease. There's a much larger scale study going on in the Yellowstone ecosystem to confirm these smaller studies. So more is to come. It is inevitable that chronic wasting disease will eventually spread to Nevada if it already hasn't. How will this affect the deer population? Could predators have slowed the spread? If the larger study confirms the smaller studies, will this commission and the hunters in Nevada even be able to accept it, as it goes against a core value central to their identity that predators are always bad? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening. This is Craig Downer again from Minden, Nevada, and I'm a wildlife ecologist. And I value the role of the mountain lions as I did the black bear. The cats are more exclusive predators, rather not so omnivore-ish as the bears, but they are very important predators, and including their very conclusive studies that they're major predators of the wild horses and burros. So when certain agencies claim there are no natural predators of these return native equids, they're wrong. Various credentialed zoologists have done exhaustive studies showing that they're major balancers of their population. So I would like you to take this into consideration, because often the Nevada Department of Wildlife is very anti-wild horse and burro. But that's been a major focus in my career, is to understand the role of the parasitactyls. And they're actually very much natural gardeners of ecosystems, including here in the Great Basin, and they help build soil. So I would just like to suggest you consider this in your issuing of the mountain lion take of 247 per year. That could have a big effect, and on the balance, including in areas with wild horses and burros. And this would be a much more humane way of learning to live with the wild horses and burros, which are actually a restored keystone in our ecosystem here. So actually, I would like to see them greatly eliminated or reduced anyway. So thanks for listening to me. Take care. Bye.
For the record, Fred Volz. Scapegoating hated species that kill or impact ungulates NDOW licensees wish to kill, be they ravens, coyotes, wolves, wild horses and burros, feral cats, and of course mountain lions, has been a frequent pastime engaged in by licensees and officials both in Nevada, other states, and at the federal level. The thin documentation published for the proposed mountain lion killing season lacks any sound guesstimate of population numbers. The suggested population ranges during yesterday's petition discussion lack any probability of accuracy and only serve to further disrupt the food chain by eliminating an apex predator essential to the stable operation of the ecosystem. It has been stated repeatedly by self-described government experts that mountain lions are elusive creatures as a justification for our 365 24/7 killing season, which begs the question of how NDOW can come up with any type of accurate population guesstimate. Blatantly absent from a science-based analysis has been a discussion of the positive impacts predators such as mountain lions provide before lunging forward with more killing. What we have here is another tragic example of how wildlife policy is based on emotion and killer convenience, not science or the best interests of the ecosystem and individual species. And I would ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. This is Stephanie Myers from Clark County. Hunters are permitted to kill about 250 mountain lions a year. This year it's 247. During a perpetual season, every single hour of every day is open season on mountain lions. You know, hunters have told me that they hunt them only in winter when they can see the paw prints in the snow. Now, if that is true, then confine the hunt to the winter months. As you know, wildlife belongs to all of us, all of the public, not just to hunters. The views of the public must be taken into account. We are the majority of Nevadans. Please limit the take or the time or cancel this hunt altogether. Thank you.
All right, that concludes any public comment. I'll bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion, comments, questions, motion, anything along those lines. Yes, Vice Chair Young.
Thank you, Chair. With that, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 20I, Commission Regulation 25-09, 2025 mountain lion season and harvest limits.
All right, so we have a motion for approval and from Vice Chair Young and a second from Commissioner Barnes. All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. All right, we will move on to agenda item 21, and this is future commission meetings and commission committee assignments. Secretary Janae and Chair Rogers for possible action. The commission meeting is scheduled for March 7 and 8, 2025 in Las Vegas. The commission will review and discuss potential agenda items for that meeting. The commission may change the date, time, and meeting location at this time. The chair may designate and adjust committee assignments and add or dissolve committees as necessary at this time. Any anticipated committee meetings that may occur prior to the next commission meeting may be discussed. So with that, Director Janae, any?
There we go. All right, so as mentioned, next meeting, March 7th and 8th, Las Vegas. Typically what we deal with at that time is waterfowl seasons. Additionally, we will hear the draft predation management plan again. At that time, we typically visit the meeting schedule and adjust that. And then I have on my list of committees that'll likely be meeting before then, Legislative Committee and the Wildlife Damage Management Committee. That's what I have on my list.
All right. Yes, Vice Chair Young?
Thank you. Director Janae or someone in the department, would it, with the anticipated situation in Southern Nevada with the bighorn sheep and translocation potential, with the NEPA process, is that something that we should put on the agenda, a letter to the BLM or something to that effect to kind of move that along? Would that help or not?
We'll be having those conversations. I know that there was probably even a conversation held this week with BLM state office. So we can give you an update at that time on that. I don't know that a letter from the commission would really further that, but we will absolutely be having that conversation with BLM, and we'll give you an update on where that stands at that time. The additional thing that I appreciate the offer, sorry, Commissioner Young. The other thing is we will try to schedule a field trip in Vegas. Typically, this is an opportunity where you can get you guys out and kind of see some things, and so maybe something along the lines of the bighorn sheep, what's going on down there. Maybe there'll be something that we can show you at that time.
Yes, Commissioner Booth?
Yes, I've assumed the responsibilities as chair for former Commissioner Alana Wise for the Wildlife Damage Management Committee. And if the department could, there's a vacancy from the department on that committee.
Oh, okay. You bet. We'll
So-
make the assignment, and we will put them in touch with you.
Okay, thank you. Also, yesterday, there was a comment relative to our CAB members who we do provide funding to their counties, and going through the list, I think there's maybe 5 or 6 CAB members or counties that are not usually here on a regular basis. And I think that it was a justified comment that if we're supplying funds to those counties for participation with our department, it'd be nice to either have them recognize those CAB members as a part of this commission, or at least let us know that they are not going to be involved.
All right, thank you for that. Any other comments? Yeah, Commissioner Cavilla.
Just one quick, thank you, Chairman. We will have a Emergent Technologies Committee too. I just wanted to mention that, yep.
All right. Commissioner Booth, did you have?
Yeah, Commissioner Cavilla is on our committee, so we'll have to make sure that we don't have time conflicts with our 2 committees.
All right.
Thanks for the heads up.
Couple of things. Also, obviously, it probably goes without saying, knowing where we're at in Southern Nevada with our sheep herds and the situations down there, I suspect that the department will have some type of a update at the next meeting as well on that. So I want to make sure we definitely have an update and keep out ahead of that notion. The other thing, to Commissioner Booth's comment around the cabs, there is funding for those, I mean, albeit a nominal amount, and I can't recall, and Dag Brigette, you might speak to this maybe, I don't know if there's something that, in law that says we have to fund or potentially fund, again, it's a nominal amount, those that have not been too actively engaged, but anyway, maybe if I could have you opine on that.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see what, I honestly don't
Yeah.
know what our statute says about
Okay.
that. I've read it multiple times, but I got to read it again.
Yeah.
But I
No.
can opine on that.
Okay, fantastic. And then the other thing I had was a potential, for discussion, was a potential change of date and venue for our June meeting. So currently, I believe we are scheduled for June, let me look here. I believe currently we are scheduled for our June meeting to be June 20 or excuse me, 27 and 28, I believe. And we are wanting,
Currently, June 2021, 20
June,
and 21.
All right, yeah, so currently we are June 20 and 21 in Yerington. And I would like to propose a change to that date and that location. I would like to propose a date change to June 13 and June 14, and a location change from Yerington to Elko. All right. Anything else on this item? Yeah, Vice Chair Young, did you?
The last thing I had on my list is a potential dissolving of the contest committee.
Yes, I apologize. That was blaring me right in the face here on my notes, so thank you for keeping me on point. So yeah, knowing that we have, again, satisfied the commitment of the contest committee, I would look to now then dissolve that contest committee at this time. All right. Anything else from the commission or the department? All right. And I'm assuming with those proposed date and location change, that's something I would need to send out for public comment and a discussion?
Yes.
Yep, all right, perfect. So if there isn't anything, other items from the commission, I would then send that out to public comment here in Reno, if there's any public comment in Reno. All right. Seeing none, how about any public comment on Zoom?
Hi, Commissioners. This is Stephanie Myers again. I just hope that in your June meeting in Elko on June 13th and 14th, that there is adequate Zoom capability for those of us who cannot travel to Elko. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the record, Fred Volz. Earlier in the meeting, comment was made about how one cab out of 17 has frequently met and appeared at commission meetings following the NRS guidelines. This weekend, we have had just over half of the cabs present, still an unacceptable and illegal performance per black letter law, and I would hope your DAG would document that for your edification. The rest of the story is that consistently 5 or 6 cabs out of only 15 supposedly active cabs appear in person or online when that technology is available, despite them all being funded by this commission. While cabs in non-urban counties with a tiny minority of the state's population intermittently insist their policy preferences should supersede the wishes of the majority or wildlife's best interests, they still refuse to appear. What's biologically best for wildlife survival in Esmeralda County is good for Clark's or Washoe's wildlife. This commission provides periodic funding for all cabs to meet and show up at commission meetings, even when they don't do their jobs. Who gets paid for a job they refuse to perform in the real, non-governmental world? Coaxing, nagging, wheedling, threatening, and browbeating have had no impact on this chronic failure to follow state law. As broken as the cab system has become, legislation should be proposed by this commission and NDOW to do away with it altogether. It is not functioning as designed and has become a superfluous piece of bureaucracy, much as foolish, outdated, and onerous regulations such as the new ones you will be creating for wildlife killing contests. Your patron and boss, the governor, wants to streamline government. Do your part. And I ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
All right, that concludes public comment. I'll bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion, comments, or motion. And with that, I will go ahead. Commissioner Cavilion?
Thank you, Chair. I won't make the chair make a motion. I'll go ahead and make a motion to modify the 2025 meeting schedule on, for the June meeting. We're going to move that to June 13th and 14th in Elko.
All right. Do we also need as part of that the dissolving of the contest committee, or is that?
I think that's under
my
your
discretion.
your discretion, yes.
All right, perfect. So with that, we have a motion for change of date and location on the June meeting. And I will second that. And how about all those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, moving on to now then, agenda item 22. This is public comment period. It's informational. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Persons making comment are asked to begin by stating their name for the record. So with that, any public comment here in Reno today? All right, seeing none, how about any public comment via Zoom? Outstanding. With that said, I want to thank everybody for the last couple of days. Do appreciate it, and we will now stand adjourned. Thank you.